Eagles. Eagles.
And welcome in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. Our last show of the week, I guess not our last show of the week, but we will have off tomorrow for Thanksgiving, everybody. So our final show, I guess, leading into the game, and then we will have game day content for you on Football Friday. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Wednesday morning, my friend?
Shut up. No, I'm getting it out of the way.
John, you went viral yesterday, my friend.
Yeah, not proud of it, but hey, it happens. But yeah, I think people are making too big of a deal of it. But yeah, we'll dust up.
I don't want to make you speak out of line, but I'll speak my thought on it. I love it, Johnny Mac. Well done by you. You put your foot down out there. You defend yourself as you should. Well done, Johnny Mac. I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. Good to have everybody in here. I hope everybody has an awesome Thanksgiving. John, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving as well. We got the Black Friday game, so we will talk about that on Football Friday, and we will also get to Mike Gill this morning. No BLG. He's on a little vacation for the holiday, but we will talk to Mike Gill coming up in a little bit. John, let's dive into the updates yesterday down at NovaCare. Jalen spoke. The coordinator spoke with Vic Fangio, with Kevin Patullo. Jalen Hurts spoke, and then some injury updates as well. We'll start on the injury front, Johnny Mac. What's the update there? You said it's good news for the Eagles.
Well, for the most part, I mean, there's some good, there's some bad, but I think, when we came into this short week, the presumption from most of us was that they're probably going to be down 3 starters in the secondary, and all of a sudden it's only going to be one, at least if things go well today for Reed Blankenship. Drew McCuba is obviously going to be out potentially for the season, and Adoree Jackson, we all thought, well, he's in the protocol. Well, turns out he's not in the protocol.
So what happened there? Like, why did
well, he got evaluated for a concussion during the game and was cleared, and the Eagles kept him out as a precautionary measure. And so when a player, when it's announced they have a head injury, they're getting evaluated for a concussion. When they're ruled out, right, 99% of the time they're put in the concussion protocol. They're basically diagnosed that they have a concussion. In the case of Adoree, that is not what happened. So it is curious. They want the, maybe thinking things were in control. I don't know why they were so cautious with it, but
so he cleared protocol and then never went back into the game. Am I understanding that right?
Correct.
So it's kind of I guess you don't want to call it a benching because he did get banged up, but they didn't put him back in the game and he was cleared to go back into the game. So they just opted to not put him back in for whatever.
Exactly. But I don't think it was a benching. I think it was more precautionary for, just because he got banged up and he shaken up, whatever. But never went into. So if you're in that concussion protocol, bottom line is you're not getting out of it for a Friday game. There's just not enough time to go through all the stages. So the thought was that he was not going to play in this upcoming game, but it turns out he was never put in the protocol. So he was a full participant in practice, and now he's expected to play, and that's good news because you had what are you going to do? Was the talk with 3 starters down? Well, now, Reed's the plan for Reed is to play. The plan for Adoree is to play. So you have
that is, that's good news considering what we were thinking coming
exactly. In. So all the only difference is you got Sidney Brown stepping in for Drew McCuba, which starter's a starter for a reason, but that's a heck of a lot better than if you're moving parts and you're moving Michael Carter to safety and all of those guys can't play. So much better scenario from that standpoint, and now all of a sudden, they're limited. They're going to play.
Yeah, the Devontae, the Saquon, that stuff is probably more short week, just management, correct?
I would think. Well, Devontae, and yesterday was a walkthrough, so it's all
Right,
estimation. But
estimated, got it.
for Devontae, it's a little bit more concerning. Shoulder and a chest. They labeled it as he was estimated as a non-participant, where Saquon was limited with a groin, and you can see them trying to manage him through a short week. And maybe that opens the door to give Tank Bigsby a few more runs, which everybody seems to be excited to see. But I do expect him to play. Lane Dickerson is also limited as he goes through his assortment of issues. Now it's back to the knee. It's always funny what they list Landon as, because
I know it could literally be anything.
yeah. So the knee seems to be more of what he's dealing with this week. And, the one guy, Brandon Graham, popped up as a groin. Now he's not been playing much. It doesn't surprise me. Retirement coming back, have a groin issue. So I would lean kind of negative on him. And then Xavier Gibson was pretty banged up, had a sling. So I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah.
After making pretty significant mistake in Dallas but boy, he caught the football, and that was the mistake where he caught the football. And then it looked like, all right, well, at least he's making something of it. And that Cowboys kid, boy, he made a play on that. That was a heck of a hit.
After getting demolished by Sidney Brown, getting blocked up going up the field, he still made the play. That was well done by him.
Really was. So I don't think he's going to play. So he might be back to Jahan Dotson returning punts, which is, he's going to.
I guess Britton Covey's just out of the picture, huh?
Well, I mean, he's on the practice squad. He's available. They could, bring him up if they're that concerned about it. But it doesn't. I just
remember he was like pretty decent at the punt. You know what I mean? Like
he was good. He led the NFL in punt.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Didn't
know he's looked pretty, but he got the job done.
Well, we talked to Michael Clay yesterday off camera because it was a busy day because it's a short week, so guys only had short windows of time.
Yeah, right.
And I asked him about Britton, and it certainly didn't seem like he was in the equation to get elevated, but you never know. But I would doubt it.
John, last one here on the injury report I want to get to here is Lane Johnson. I assume he's not going to play, but just what's the update with him? Like, they never put him on IR. We kind of thought it was going to be a 4 to 6 week period, which would assume you might drop him on IR, open up a roster spot. They never did that. He's still listed on the injury report with the foot. It's a DNP. Is that just kind of hoping Lane might come back before 4 weeks? I know there's some optimism there that it wasn't as bad as we originally thought. What's the update, or what do you know about Lane Johnson, if anything?
Yeah, well, the hope is, anytime you don't put somebody like that on injured reserve. Now, there's two parts to that. You have to have more spaces designated to return, and there's a bunch of them now. So there's no concern there. So they could place him on IR. But anytime you don't, that means you think he has a chance to come back before that fourth game. So I would circle Las Vegas, and then on the schedule. And then the last part to that is he's the type of player that if he doesn't make it, you don't mind carrying him on the back end of the roster because, you have game day inactives anyway. So you don't mind carrying him. So the hope is he's able to return before that fourth game. Touch and go, I would say, even with a sprain, Les Frank, but obviously tough dude. Wouldn't bet against him.
Yeah.
And they think he has an opportunity to make it back. But, if he doesn't, the good news is no surgery, and he will be back at some point.
Yep, good news there, John. Game coming up on Friday. It's a 3 p.m. game on Amazon Prime. All right, so we'll have that on Football Friday. It is at home, so it's in Philadelphia. If anybody's going to the game, let me know in the chat. I'll give you a little shout out. I always like to see people who go to these games, the holiday games and stuff like that. And a Friday, John, you don't play many games on Friday. That was pretty funny. Vic got asked, when's the last Friday game? I think McLean was trying to get him to go back to high school. And he's like, 2 years ago.
Well, the funny thing is, Vic got that wrong. The Friday game that the opener in Brazil was on Friday.
Oh,
so
right.
He's played Friday 2 years in a row.
That's right.
This will be 3 years in a row.
That's right. I forgot about the Friday opener. The Friday
That's
opener
crazy,
in Brazil.
by the way. But yeah, your presumption is, and I don't blame Jeb because it's like nobody plays on Friday. But now they have that, they start on Thursday. Now they have the Brazil game on Friday at the beginning of the season. So, yeah, it's becoming more prevalent, which is no surprise because it's all a money grab.
Yeah, right. John, good stuff, man. I got some good questions here. We're going to have an open up hour number 2. We'll have some fun topics for Thanksgiving tomorrow. We'll take some super chats from the great people of JAKIB Nation. John, I want to ask you a general question, and you can shoot this down if you think I'm off based on it. I'm noticing just from the tea leaves around those who cover the team, all the other guys on the beat, many of the guys who have been around for a long time who are connected to people inside the organization. I'm noticing based on some of the narratives that people are saying that the Eagles front office they are very unhappy with this offense, despite all of the winning. Now, if they go the distance, I'm sure it will be okay, but it feels like they are unhappy. You hear guys like D-Gun bring up some stuff about Jalen Hurts. I was listening to Jeff McLean's podcast yesterday with Mike Sealski. He said some similar things about how the limitations of the passing game are becoming more of an issue for the offense. Obviously, we've spoken at length about Jalen Hurts. We do it basically daily. He's the quarterback of the team that we cover. You hear Hugh Douglas bringing stuff up. I don't know, John. A lot of these guys are pretty well connected. They've been around for a long time. I think fans think that they make a lot of shit up. I don't really think that's how it goes. I think when people hear things, they get information, that's when they start to maybe leak some of that stuff out. Am I way off on the tea leaves? How do you see it? What do you make of, what the organization thinks of this offense, of this quarterback, of this coaching staff, of everything that's going on? Because despite what we say about maybe we've overrated them, I think the expectation from the people that matters is higher than this.
Well, sure. I mean, the expectations are off the charts. I mean, from the organization, they expect to win. There's no doubt about that. I mean, they've a long history of now, really since Super Bowl 52 of any time reaching, not terribly long, but since they've become a top tier team. When they don't reach them, they're going to scapegoat people. And that's, let's be honest, that's Jeffrey. But no, D-Gun's not making stuff up. Jeff's not making stuff up. So anybody who thinks that is nuts. If you listen to this show, you hear similar things every day. We talk about it every day.
Right.
It's not coming out of thin air. So there's issues. The problem is, what do you want to be? And all those discussions, all those wide-ranging discussions we've had, be careful what you wish for. They found a formula for success. I can tell you Nick Sirianni believes his job is dependent on winning, which is, seems like common sense.
Right.
And his goal is to win every game. And this is his plan, that this is the best way for us to win under the rosters that he had, the roster that he has. This is the best way to win. And I disagreed with it at the start back in week 5 last year when they made the dramatic shift. I said, this is too far. They've gone too far. But they won. Right. And I think, obviously that builds a sense of, hey, I told you so, whatever you want to call it, entitlement, whatever. And they did. I mean, there's nothing you can't argue. They won. And when they needed the passing game, it did show up at least a little bit against Washington and in the Super Bowl. Now, they got plenty of help from
Yeah, sure did.
the crutches of the team, which were the defense and the running game. And now that they have the running game has gone away for multiple reasons, and the defense is not quite as good, even with the little spike over the entire season. The defense hasn't been as good.
Right.
So now you have more of these games where it's tough. And they still win more than they lose by significant. They got the second best record in the NFC coming in the last week. They were the number 1 seed in the NFC. They were the number 2 seed when they won the Super Bowl last year. So it's not like that's the tough part. Like if it's, if you're underwater, under 500, if you're really struggling, then it's easy to say, all right, we got to change. But when you're 8-3, it's not as easy. And the second part of that is, which I think way too many people don't understand, is, you kind of saw it in a micro standpoint with the Cowboys 5-man fronts, all that disconnect of, well, before Quentin Williams, they never used it. Now that they got Quentin, but it was only one game. How much can you factor that in? Yada, yada, yada. And everybody from Landon Dickerson to Kevin Patullo yesterday, I asked him yesterday, to Nick Sirianni, said the same thing, which is, look, this time of year, you don't have a lot of reps. You don't have, so you're sort of playing the analytics game. Well, this is what they do. This is what we're betting they're going to do. And then you have the Super Bowl champions and unscattered looks, and everybody's giving you the best shot, and yada, yada, yada. All these explanations. Like to assume in week 13 that you're going to just strip it down to its studs and go, all right, this didn't work, and we're going to do this. It just doesn't work that way. Now,
Right.
And then where I've heard from some people, and to a certain degree, they did shift in leading up to Super Bowl 52, because people kind of forget that, Nick Foles, when he came in originally, wasn't very good in the regular season. And Doug Peterson pretty much told John DeFilippo and Frank Reich to scale it back and do what he's comfortable with. And they did a bunch of RPO stuff, which is really run pass option. But those mechanics where Nick was comfortable with, because that's what he did a lot, and it turned out to work. But again, that's scaling back. That's not evolving.
That's what I mean. And my question then, on top of what you just said, would be, where do you think the organization, and when I say organization, I mean the decision makers in the building, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, people like that, how do they see the offense in terms of, do they think the offense is not good because of the philosophy and they blame Nick for that and they think it's unfair, perhaps like you? Do they put it on the quarterback, who they are understanding that the coaches have tailored the philosophy around the quarterback? Do they put it on Kevin Patullo because they think he's an inexperienced play caller, not getting the job done, and somebody that Nick wanted to promote? Where do you think the organization sees as the number one problem with why the offense is just, call a spade, it's just not good?
Well, it'd be disappointing if they considered it one piece, because then they'd be wrong, and then they'd be, but ultimately that's what they're going to do. But that's about not necessarily a belief. That's about, all right, we have to do something, and so-and-so's got to be, scapegoated to satisfy the masses, basically, is what it is. Unfortunately, that's the way the NFL works, not just in Philadelphia, but everywhere. But I do think the Eagles, if they wanted to have the ability to be more patient, probably should be more patient. But and Nick talks about this all the time. It's almost like a human desire that you want to blame one thing. And like the running game, if we talk about the running game, it's part Saquon, it's part offensive line, it's part scheme.
Yeah, but here's the thing with the run game that I think is interesting. I think coming into becoming a running team, the Eagles knew that this wasn't a long-term thing. That's why they never tried to build for it in the first place. This team has always tried to be a high-flying passing attack because in their belief, they've always thought that was the best way to have a long-term sustained success on offense. Now, they went to the running game last year to
That's Jeffrey's belief.
Well, that's what I mean. So I think Jeffrey believes, oh, yeah, I'm not surprised. The running game's not working as well as it did a year ago, So that's where I'm like, what does he think about, do we have to change offense? Does he think Nick is being unfair to Jalen and he wants to, maybe let Jalen get the straitjacket off? Or does Jeffrey see it as the quarterback is the quarterback and they've built the offense around him and maybe that's a bigger problem? I think you're right about it. It's never one thing. I mean, it's football. We're not talking about, it's football.
Well, it's never one thing. And that's why you don't. And if you were to line up the 32 owners or the 30 people in charge of the different organization, I would certainly put Jeffrey Lurie near the top of the list when it comes to football intelligence. However, that's at the bottom of the list when it comes to executives and coaches and actual football people. So, the last thing you want is an owner like Jerry Jones who thinks he knows more than he does, and wants to go in that direction. But at the end of the day, it's their team and they can do what they want to do.
Yeah, right.
And that's what happened. That's what happened in the past. Look, Doug Peterson didn't want to move on from Mike Rowe. What, nobody cares, but people talk about continuity and then they don't want the guy to learn and have any continuity. Same thing with Press Taylor. Same thing with Brian Johnson. It's, is continuity better? Probably,
Yeah.
Are they all now? There are different, like Sean Desai. I think everything is contextual. Like Sean Desai was pretty clear the job was too big for him. I still don't think they should have demoted him in season, but that's something you do in the off season and you got to move on. You hire the head coach for a reason. And if the head coach wants to move forward with a particular offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator or what have you, you should let him have that rope. And if he doesn't have that rope, if you don't want him to have that rope, you should fire him. Bottom line.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But from the standpoint of boiling it down, it never works because it's never one person. It's never one person. But one person has to pay, or two, usually a couple scapegoats. It was Brian, it was Alex Tanney as well, when he left. And if you look, it's always funny because if you look at where like Alex Tanney went, it was with Shane Steichen. Like they didn't dislike Alex Tanney. Well, Nick, I'm talking about the coaching staff.
Yeah. I bet you if Kevin Patullo gets scapegoated, he'll be back with Kellen Moore. It would be my guess.
Or Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he
They were buddies, weren't they? Him and Kellen Moore, they built a relationship.
Well, they built a really close relationship when he was here. But remember, Kellen wasn't here that long. Shane was here longer and longer term with that group. But so yeah, I would expect him to land in one of those two spots. But and hopefully he can save his job. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's 6 games left and whatever postseason run they have. And he's, performing, coaching, whatever you want to call it, for his job. So, I mean, that's just the way the Eagles are. The expectations are off the charts.
I wonder how bad it would have to be for there to be a scapegoat. Like if they go to the conference finals, the conference championship game, I don't think there would be. Now, if they got bounced in the wild card or in the divisional, is that enough to do it?
Well, I think it depends. If you get bounced, like say you get bounced in the NFC Championship game, but you lose 23-3, I think
that might be
so I think it always depends on the circumstance. Like going down to Tampa for that playoff game a couple of years ago.
You always tell the story. I remember.
Yeah, I was laughing at people. No, Nick Sirianni's not going to get fired, but it was so ugly. And I was sitting because of the Tampa Bay older stadium. Some of the execs sit right behind us. Like we're in the first row. They were in the second. They're in the second row in Tampa. And I heard pretty high up what my, executives say, this is fucking embarrassing. And at that point, I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, yeah, right. Could be something here. Let's rattle through a couple supers. We got Mike Gill coming up in a couple seconds here on Birds 365. BGG says, happy Thanksgiving, Zander, John, and Jacob fam. Happy Thanksgiving, Bird Gang Girl. Appreciate that. Jeff Bones, same thing. Happy Turkey Day, Johnny Mac and Z. Happy Turkey Day, Jeff Bone. Appreciate you, brother. Here's Rich Nutt. What's up, Rich? Happy Thanksgiving, J Mac Z. Whole Jacob fam. Blessings to all. Rich, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Here's Zeal, John. This is for you. J Mac, you may be the miserable uncle that we argue with at the Thanksgiving table, but you're still our uncle. We support you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Look at that.
Right. I am shockingly not miserable.
Yeah, you don't strike me as miserable at all.
No. Pretty happy-go-lucky. Like to crack jokes, if you ask people. Yes, your Ed Kratz's, your Martin Franks.
I can see that. Just don't ask Rube. Here's Dank. When are we getting our Johnny Mac versus Rube match?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Is what it is. Should have done it off camera. That's my only regret. But it had to be done.
Yeah, good. I'm happy you put your foot down. All right, good stuff there. Appreciate everybody for all the super
mic, not camera.
Off mic. Gotcha. Good stuff there. Hit that like button, everybody. Let's bring Mike Gill in now from 97.3 ESPN. You can follow him at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Go and type it in at Mike Gill Show. What's going on, Mike? Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday.
I'm doing all right.
We got Wi-Fi issues. I've been alerted, Mike Gill.
Well, we got new Wi-Fi, so now you're switching all the passwords from the old one to the new one.
It's always a risky move,
Yeah. Well, it's a long story because we had to get Ring cameras for something, and now.
I hope everything's okay down there, but.
Yeah, so now the Wi-Fi thing, you're switching from that one to this one, and my laptop wasn't quite connected to the new one yet because we just got it yesterday, and it's a busy time for me, man. People think like Thanksgiving, like usually, I call a game. I'll call a game tomorrow morning, and then I'm off Friday for the Eagles game, but then Saturday I'm in Philly. Sunday, I'm doing play-by-play again, so it's like this is week's worse than a normal week.
Yeah, holidays are never good for sports, for people that work in sports. I had an old editor who said, "Oh, that's the life we've chosen." I'm like, shut up, dude. Nobody likes it.
Well, I've called the Thanksgiving high school football game for 20 years, so I'm used to that. The Eagles playing on that Black Friday is kind of the oddity here that.
Yeah, it was funny because Vic got asked.
I heard him. He's like 2 years ago, and everyone. I remember him. With the Dolphins played the Jets that first year, and then last year was.
Last year he played Brazil. He forgot. Last year was a Friday game.
That's funny. Yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, so he's got. This will be.
Although I will say, John, we did air the press conference yesterday, and everybody on our audience picked you right out, man. You have a distinct.
I got tagged in that about 20 times, Mike, right after it happened.
Well, you got to remember, he's on with you every single day.
Yeah, right.
He's on with us a lot, but not every day. And I was like kind of half in, half out of the. We usually air the Vic presser because he generally gives you something. He's pretty truth serum,
Yeah, I feel like Vic has gotten a little less truth serum as the year's gone on this year. I don't know if I'm right on that, but that's just my gut feeling.
And listen, you only get one question, right? You get your one shot to ask your question generally, and then it's 9 minutes. He's pretty quick. But
now with Vic, you get multiple because he answers the question.
He does go pretty quickly, yes. Yeah. I guess the question is because everything is so offensive related right now. Is, I guess with the injuries, that kind of is a little bit of a thing. But was he disappointed in the second time this year that they gave up a double-digit lead? Even though it's very disappointing that you had a 21-point lead and lost it, everyone's looking at the offense not scoring.
Yeah.
But the flip side is, well, we have this great defense. You get up 21 points, you usually think that defense is going to win you the game, and that they couldn't do it. What was he disappointed? I'm sure he was, but why did he feel that, in the Denver game, they couldn't get the job done, and in this game, you couldn't get the job done? It's like a baseball game. Cliff Lee, your spot 4 runs against the Cardinals, you got to win that game, right? So we're all looking at the offense, which is fair, but the offense did spot you 21 points. And
yeah. Now, and the defense gave up 477
and they
yards.
gave up 400 plus yards in this game. This wasn't they were
not
getting beat down the field.
Could not deal with George Pickens at all.
No, and we talked about it. You get a glimpse of what Cooper DeJean might look like playing top guys on the outside, and they said, "Look at this guy. This is going to be fun."
Well, I'll tell you what, man, that kid's playing well, George Pickens. I don't think there's too many guys who can do what he did. So I kind of look at it the other way. I thought the coverage was okay. He's just going. The one time he mossed him, he took it off his helmet, so he's in position. I think long term, if you needed him, he'd be fine playing outside corner, because you're not playing that guy every week. And plus that guy, plus the type of year, sometimes it's like Saquon last year. That's the kind of year he's having a receiver. He's just lights out. Maybe not to Smith and Jigba would be more the Saquon comparison, but just a great year, a career year. We talk about that all the time. Like, guys have career years, and usually they're not going to repeat them the next year because they're so good. It's almost impossible.
Right.
And that's the year Pickens is having. So I thought Cooper was fine, but what's more interesting coming out of Vic's press conference was Adoree Jackson could have come back in that game, and for whatever reason, the Eagles decided to be cautious about it, because he did not. He was evaluated for concussion and passed the protocol, in-game protocol. So he was cleared, and they decided to hold him out as a precaution. And then you had all these moving parts: Cooper to the outside, Michael Carter inside. Then Makuba gets injured late. That was curious to me, why they didn't put Adoree Jackson back in the game.
Yeah, but it's just funny because he was the guy in the first Dallas game that everybody was kind of going after because of how poorly he had played on opening night, and now him being out, and you're wondering where he was in that particular game, and then he obviously got the concussion, and I would imagine it's probably not going to be available for Friday.
Oh no, he is. He's not in the protocol. That's what I'm
really
saying. He was cleared. He did not suffer a concussion. He was a full participant.
He got ripped. I mean, he got hit pretty good. He was
Don't ask me to explain that protocol, but he was cleared and he was eligible to come back in that game.
It looked like he got banged up pretty hard on that play.
Yeah, maybe that's why the Eagles were precautious with it. But he was allowed to go back in the game, and they had a walkthrough, so it was an estimation, but he was estimated as a full participant, and he will be cleared to play in Friday's game, which is a break.
And then as Vic kind of was asked about the safeties yesterday, I would imagine, what's up with Reed? I mean, that was a weird. He looked like I figure if you couldn't come back from this, it's not like he had a Charlie horse.
No. And by the way, speaking of a Charlie horse, Reed Blankenship, whatever it was, it didn't look like he was going to be able to get back on a short week. And now the plan is he will play. So
that's what I was asking. What's up with Reed in terms of it? It seemed worrisome that he couldn't return to that game with whatever. I mean, at first, you're like, he's grabbing his hamstring area. Oh, great. Like anything there, you're out 4 weeks, it would feel like. And then somebody was saying his thigh. And I'm like, well, what a Charlie horse. Like, what could have happened to your thigh that would have kept you out of a game? But that'll be a big help to get him back.
Yeah, it's interesting. Mike, talk to me, man. We do it every week. The problems with this team are still evident. They go up, they score 3 straight touchdowns. They're moving the ball, middle of the field, outside. A.J. Brown's involved, 5 catches for 67 yards. They're up 21-0. and then 41 and a half minutes of gameplay, Mike Gill. They don't get a single point on the board. Now, a lot of different contexts to that, a lot of penalties involved, a lot of different things involved, maybe stop targeting A.J. Brown as much. How did you view the offensive performance on Monday? And then just your thought on the evolution of kind of this offense. Like, it's another week of a piece of data. It's like, how do you even gauge all this? What did you make of Sunday's game?
Well, I mean, let's remember, too, in the first half, while they should be credited for scoring 21 points, they got a touchdown on a drive that really they shouldn't have been able to keep going with the roughing the punter penalty. But give them credit, they capitalized on the referee's mistake and were able to score. And they did have some semblance of fluidity in their offense going at that moment. But in the second half, when Dallas kind of showed you some different things, they could not run the ball. The offensive line reared its ugly head in again, where there was just no place to go. And they're taking, these teams aren't taking the run away because they're stacking the box with 8 and 9 guys. Your offensive line just can't win at the point of attack. And now you can't run the ball, and there's more guys in coverage because of it. Because, less guys are in there. You used to see these 8 and 9 man fronts last year that you're trying to run on. Well, now guys are like, well, we can win up front. We don't think that you're beating us at the point of attack, so we can put more guys into coverage. So the offensive passing game that they've had in the past that has been meh, but has only 4 guys in coverage or 5 guys maybe, now has 6 and 7 guys in coverage. So these basic routes that they generally run are now being covered more than they were in the past. So there's a lot more cluster in the areas where they want to try to throw the ball. And in the second half, you saw a lot of those routes being taken away, the running lanes not there, and end result 3 and outs. I mean, they just cannot run the ball. The whole game comes down to 3rd and 2. And it's a microcosm of the problems. On 3rd and 2 last year, they handed the ball to Saquon Barkley. They either get 1 yard and then push it, or they get a first down easily. They didn't even elect to try a run. They threw the ball and got sacked because they cannot run. So we could try to blame Kevin Batula all we want. When you only have half the playbook to call, that's not an easy way to do your job. Hey, man, do your job, but don't call any of these plays because they're not going to work. Good luck, buddy. We're all counting on you. And while Batula has some hand in this in the pie chart, obviously, everybody's acting like this guy was a blind man walking down the street who never designed a play in his life and got this job. He has worked in the NFL.
Yeah,
the guy has some idea what he's doing, but we have to understand they cannot run the ball. So if you're playing John Madden football and you can't run the ball, I imagine most of these people are going to stop trying to run it and just throw it all the time. Well, the Eagles can't run. They just cannot do it this year. And their whole offense, like when you install this offense in preseason, in training camp, it's predicated on the fact that, hey, we're going to be able to run the ball pretty much whenever we want to. That's what we've lived on. Chris Long was on his podcast the other day talking about how the line's problems, go back to when he won the Super Bowl here in 2017. It's like the whole offense is built around this line. That's what this team does. And they can't do it. They just cannot do it right now. So it has affected everything offensively because of their inability to run.
Yeah. They went from amazingly, they weren't the best running team in the NFL last year because of Baltimore, but they were number 2. And if you take the playoffs, obviously they were number 1. Largest rushing season in NFL history, when you include the postseason, by Saquon Barkley. And now you're down to 684 yards through 11 games, under 4 yards a carry, 3.7 yards per carry.
Saquon Barkley might get 1,000 less yards than he ran for 1,000. Like, you're like, he's not going to get 2,000 again, but you might get,
Last time 15. I looked, it was 900 below pace-wise of what he had last year in the rate. And remember, he sat a game at the end. He rested in a bunch of fourth quarters. That's how dominant he was last year versus this year. And they're 21st in the run game, and by the way, that's inflated by Jalen Hurts. And for all the people that say, well, Jalen Hurts doesn't run it, which he doesn't as much as he has, but he's still a big part of it. He's got to give me an example this week, Caleb Williams. Well, what a great athlete. What a phenomenal. And all of that is true. Jalen Hurts has 298 rushing yards as a quarterback. Caleb Williams has 293. So the point I'm trying to make is, and Caleb's a big import to the Bears rushing offense, which is pretty good. He's still a big part of the run offense, and they're still 21st. It's been a disaster, the run offense. And forget about Saquon, Mike. If you go back, they could run the ball since Nick Sirianni scaled it back in 2021, whether it was Miles Sanders,
that's an
DeAndre
interesting
Swift.
That's an interesting line of demarcation. Okay, I was talking about this yesterday on my show. People talk about the Eagles and their pass offense, and how kind of almost elementary it is. Nick Sirianni called the plays for this team, those first 7 games, and I went back and looked at them yesterday. They were throwing the ball like 40 times a game, and with success, like 389 yards. 40. Hurts had a game where he threw the ball like 49 times for 380 some yards. I mean, and they were losing these games because they weren't good enough. But so the point is, they do have some creativity in the pass game that they have used before. The problem was they weren't very good, and they shifted to this run-focused offense because of the offensive line being so good there. So you wonder, people are like, well, how come Sirianni doesn't call the plays, or there's not more creativity in the pass game? I do wonder if Sirianni could have more influence on the pass game and kind of add some things that they tried and did pretty well that first year that Jalen was here, because he was having success in throwing the ball. The team just wasn't having success because they were throwing the ball so much. And then, you're running the ball, you're shortening the games, you're wearing people out. They were throwing so much with a team that just wasn't talented enough. But that is an interesting point to me, is that Sirianni, when he was calling the plays, was very pass heavy.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was coming off an offense with Phillip Rivers that just was crazy successful from a passing perspective. I would say if it were up to him, he'd be running 11 personnel all day, spreading the field more, throwing the football more. That's most.
So the point that I'm making, though, is that this goes back to people feel like that Kevin and Nick are just these two bumbling idiots that don't have any creativity.
I always, what's amazing to me? It really just the base common sense of it all. I talk about it all the time. Hey, somebody called it a high school offense this week. I mean, really? You think a guy's 15 years in the NFL don't know what a crossing pattern is? Back in the I know I've explained it on your show multiple times about pet peeve of mine, hot routes. Yeah, NFL coaches don't know what a hot route is. And the guy saying, you got to call more hot routes. Guess what? That guy, you don't know what a hot route is. You don't call them. It's a sight adjustment. And everybody in the NFL knows what they are.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. And then when you have all these great coaches, the Ben Johnson, one of them's coming in, and the Sean McVays and the Kevin O'Connells and the Kyle Shanahans, and they can't beat the idiots. Well, what are they?
Yeah. We always in professional sports go after the coach, the manager, whoever. They're an idiot. They don't know what they're doing. And you got to remember, most of these guys, Nick Sirianni, he was in Kansas City before Andy got there. So you're going back to 2012 that Nick was in Kansas City. Then he was in San Diego with the Chargers before he got to Indianapolis. And in those stops, he's worked with a lot of offensive people. He was the offensive coordinator. While he was not the play caller in Indianapolis, he worked with Frank Reich, who people, I think, would go running to say, bring Frank Reich back here. Sirianni worked for Frank Reich. You don't think they run the same shit? Like, it's like crazy. And Petula, by the way, was with him in all those stops. And also, so these guys sit in a room all day and watch tape of plays and design these plays. And we think that they don't have any clue of what they're doing. It's wild to me that we get to that point first, I can understand saying, look, he doesn't have the rhythm I think that Petula lacks the storytelling in his offense where I'm setting you up. I'm going to keep doing this, and then I'm going to hit you with that. So I think the play design is flawed at this point because their running game has been taken away. They cannot run the ball. And the pass game in the past is kind of tailored to what Jalen does and what he wants to do.
Well, that's what I mean. Do you think they don't trust Hurts and that's why they don't open up? Or do you think they believe in their philosophy more than their desire to open it up?
That's a good question. I would say this. There's really one constant in this offense. It's Jalen Hurts. And we've complained about the passing game with every coordinator. They don't all suck. Not every.
By the way, that's the interesting part. I was pulling it up, and I was texting with an Eagles executive the other day, and because they're very kind. Obviously they think some of the hate is unfair. It was like, think about every name. Kellen Moore now. Because they won the Super Bowl, got tons of hate during the season in year. Where's the motion? Where's this? Where's that? Brian Johnson, Shane Steichen, tons of hate in 2021. Press Taylor, Doug Peterson, Mike Groh, Frank Reich. 2016, they were thinking about firing Frank Reich. Chip Kelly, Pat Shermer, Marty Morning, Brad Childress, Andy Reid. They all get hate. Every single one of them. Every single one of them. Now, there's the revisionist history when there's success, but every single offensive mind, that's part of it, man. And I joked, you forgot one, Nick Sirianni. Every single one of them.
Well,
and the next
all of those guys
will get hate.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I always laugh when people say you got to fire so-and-so. Why? So you can ask for the next guy to get fired too? Like,
exactly.
Name a coach that you haven't just complained about. No coach has ever been universal. Like, now, Vic Fangio, I would say, is that coach that is universally liked no matter what. He can almost do no wrong because he has got himself into the zone, the safe zone of he can do no wrong. So he gets virtually no credit. And I'm not saying he deserves any criticism. I'm just saying he's got himself to the level with the fan base that Fangio's unit will never be the problem. It will never be wrong. So now the offensive guy is getting triple the heat. And listen, we complained about Kellen Moore. We complained about Steichen. We complained about Brian Johnson. Huge. The one constant is the guy that they have to call the offense for. And you wonder how much that prevents them from really doing what they want to do in their offense. Now, what they do for him, he does really well. But how limited does that make you? And think about this. You now have 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and now most of 2025 all on tape to see this is what they do with this guy, and let's keep taking it away and taking it away. You can only keep turning into a chameleon and changing what you do and adjusting so many times before you're out of answers because the defense is saying, you do that, we're taking that away. You do that, we're going to take that away. Now you can't run. Now you can't run block, so we can't do that either, which now makes this passing game, which they haven't had to have a lot of creativity in because they ran so well. Well, now you need to peel the layers of the onion a little bit more. And I don't think they think the guy can do it or doesn't want to do it. Whatever it is, chicken or the egg here. Can he not do it or he doesn't want to do it? That's up to him. But he goes to that line of scrimmage and has autonomy to do pretty much what he wants. And these are the results of what he wants. and there's not a lot there.
Yeah.
What do you think Jeffrey Lurie
fourth
thinks?
and sixth autonomy too, by the way.
Mike, I want you to speculate on what you think Lurie thinks. You think he's like Patullo and Nick, this offense has to go, change it up for Jalen, open it up, take the straitjacket off? Do you think he looks at it like offense isn't good enough, quarterback's not getting the job? Like, how do you think he views it?
I think this is one of those situations where you're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place here. You don't want to have to even think about making a change, but you're realizing what's going on here. And if you sit on your hands now, in 2023, they brought the whole band back pretty much. Not the whole band. Obviously, the coordinators were gone, but they brought Nick back, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So I think he has Sirianni. Does he have another like run in him, or is it going to go down the Doug Peterson route where, hey, you hired your buddy, that didn't work, now we got to get somebody else in here? And does he put his foot down and say, no, I'm not doing that, and then they have an amicable breakup here? That's possible, I guess. Or does Nick just go with the flow? I think one of the mistakes they made, while not blaming Kevin Patullo at top of the list, I wouldn't have hired a guy with no experience to be the play caller for this team. I mean, I likened it to, you gave a 16-year-old first-time driver a Lamborghini and said, here you go, buddy, go take a ride. And then the kid's riding around the block going the speed limit with two hands on the wheel, driving a Lamborghini. Like, I can't mess this thing up. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So, and I get it. My
pushback to that, Mike, would be Kellen Moore has tons of experience as a play caller. Was there tons of difference in the passing game?
No, but I agree with that. I do think, though, that maybe he had a little bit better feel. Now, I will say this about Patullo in terms of everybody's ripping him in the job that he did on Sunday. They had a lot of big plays that got negated by penalties, right?
Even in the second half, and they couldn't score,
right? So there are plays that he called that worked, that the self-inflicted wounds, that's not his fault. I mean, he called the play.
It's his fault from preparation staff. Like I said, if you want to blame the coaching staff, I said it pretty consistently.
The one where the guy prior that play, sure, that preparation, but turning your head too fast, I mean, what the hell was that penalty? I mean,
well, sometimes you get a bad break. That's a bad break. But and it was Devontae Smith. I did go back. Devontae Smith, that's not Matt Pryor's fault. That's Devontae Smith's fault. Got to make sure the extra offensive lineman, Matt did his job. His job is to report. You do this. Mm-hmm. He did his job. Then it's up to the wide receiver to make sure he's lined up correctly. Unfortunately, the NFL, the stupid legislation, Matt Pryor gets that penalty. Everybody says Matt Pryor's an idiot. No, he did his job. The star didn't do his job on that particular play. And all of a sudden,
the referee announces number 79 did not report it and wasn't covered up. So everybody hears 79 and just assumes it was his fault.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and that's not the referee's fault, because that's how it's designed. The legislation, if you report and you're uncovered, they're always going to call. It's not like they have the option.
Yeah.
But it's also always the wide receiver's fault. If the only time it's the extra offensive lineman's fault, if he doesn't report, like Dan Skipper with the Lions, that famous play where he did report, but they missed it, and he got a lot of shit for that. That's when it's their fault. If they're uncovered, that's the wide receiver's fault. But it's it's called on the offensive lineman always, and most people don't understand that. However, the result is, and by the way, that's a nifty little play, Mike Gill, to get Dallas Goedert open, and you got a 20-yard chunk play, 1st and 10 at the 40, but your star wide receiver didn't line up correctly.
Yeah. Then they had a couple plays that were positive, good plays that got negated by, the Fred Johnson hands to the face or whatever they called him for. That was a play that worked. And look, I feel that there's just not a lot of rhythm in terms of setting things up. Like, hey, we're going to, they run under center now more, which I guess they're deciding that that's something. But then they very infrequently run play action out of the under center look. So you go under center, you run, and then eventually you play action under center, and then you take a couple shots out of it. They very infrequently use that setup to do that. I'd like to see them. I will say there was one play that sticks out. We talk about Jalen doesn't like to throw the ball over the middle of the field. I think one of his best throws of the day was the anticipation throw to A.J. Brown in the seam on the right hash mark there. He threw him open. He hit him in stride, but
only one though. It's the only. Anticipation throw of the day.
It's the only time I've seen him do that. Really,
I mean, the deep shot to Devontae Smith. People don't want to talk about. That was an awful throw. I mean, that was a bad throw. I mean, Devontae Smith had to do a somersault backwards to go and get that football. He could have walked into the end zone. Now, people don't want to hear that.
You talk about what this passing game was in the past. Very simple. Not a lot of craziness to it. Not a lot of, this, that, or the other. But they were facing so much less coverage because of the run game. So you only,
that's fair.
You go into coverage, and there's really only 4 or 5 guys back there that you are looking at. Well, now sometimes they're seeing 7 guys in coverage, which is taking away some of the lanes that you used to be able to find guys sitting in there and get them the ball. And those areas are not there because they're not as particularly worried about the run game.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious. They can't run the football, and it's made everything much more difficult to do. Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Do you guys think the concussion that Jalen Hurts had last year in the Washington game, which was the first concussion of his career, do you think that, I don't want to say spooked him, but, sometimes you get one of those maybe, and it feels like he doesn't run as much anymore. Is that because they don't want him to run? Is it because he doesn't want to run anymore? I think the quarterback run, is an element they could add to this offense that would really open things up. And I just don't know why they don't do it as much. Is it more Jalen? Is it more the team? You think the concussion had anything to do with it? I think it's a fair comment considering it was the first one of his career. How do you guys think that's impacted Hurts?
I think we've been talking about him not running nearly as much going back to 2022 when he had that unbelievable rushing season, and almost 30% of their offense was an RPO with him keeping the ball. And I mean, he almost had like 800 yards rushing that season. I mean, he's like a 300-yard rusher at this point right now. He just doesn't, it's just they did run a couple design runs last week. I think they had 2 early in the game.
Yeah, it was pretty successful. He audibled one at the touchdown. With quarterback draw.
I think there's no question, though, that would be another layer that you can add. Although the RPO game is essentially just not even a part of their.
That's because, again, they can't. The timing is off, and they get too many penalties. Nothing to do with, worried about Jalen Hurts. Now, I do believe they're worried about. They're trying to manage Jalen Hurts as he gets older, and you'll see more of it as games get high leverage, as you already have. He had a big rushing game after, to Zander's point about the concussion. I don't see that at all.
Okay, well, that's fair. I just brought it up. I heard who did I hear talking about it? I think it was Sealski. And he just mentioned it. Didn't insinuate it was the reason, but he just mentioned how sometimes there has been instances where that stuff spooks a player,
Carson, it spooked Carson.
Yeah, right.
Carson's was much more serious, I think, number one. He had a big rushing game. People forget he had a terrible passing game against the Rams in the playoffs last season, but he had a big rushing game against the Rams in the playoffs. They're definitely doing it less, but I think that's designed as he gets older to try to manage him through the season, so to speak. And then, when they need it, they're going to pull it out, and he's going to run the foot. That Jalen's going to pull it out and just run the football when he needs to run the football. But yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't spook people, but I don't get that from Jalen at all.
That's fair. Well, don't you think though that could be an element that would get the offense going a little bit? Like they got to go. I think they got to go back to it a little bit. I mean, get Jalen running. It might open
you look at the first game this season against the Cowboys. It was all run. It was all him extending the play.
Yeah, right. That's how they won the game, basically.
So
I think one of the plays that worked a lot for them, and we talked about this Friday. I had Jesse Holly on, who covers does the Believe in Cowboys podcast. He played wide receiver for them years ago, and he talked about one of the areas where Dallas is vulnerable or has been vulnerable this year is the running back catching the ball out of the backfield. And I laughed. I said, well, they just don't throw the ball to the running back. They had a little success throwing the ball. Just the problem is you're throwing it to Saquon, and then he fumbled. He's not a great pass catcher, but him, Shipley, they're guys that you want to get the ball in space and see if you could just have these little dump offs. You'd like to see them, since they can't run, but you want to use Saquon, fine. A little bit more extension of the run game, getting those guys in short space and letting them catch the ball, because Saquon, he's getting those touches and he's getting 8 to 10 yards. Now, you can't fumble the ball, which he had that problem in the Falcon game last year. We know that. He fumbled again this year on that. But it's a way that you can get him some more in-space touches if you're struggling to run the ball. But he's just not a receiver that I think the Eagles want to say, hey, we're going to build a game plan today to get you 6-7 catches out of the backfield. You can probably implement Shipley a little bit more on plays like that if you think your run game cannot get going and you still want to run the ball a little bit.
Yeah. They missed Kenny Gainwell. That's underrated. Now, I mean, they didn't throw the ball to their backs, but when they did, he was very trusted. He was one of Jalen Hurts.
Had a slight uptick in catching the ball this year. Actually, I think he's already had more catches this year.
No, yeah, a little bit.
Out of necessity.
Yeah, right, because he can't run it.
But
this is where Bigsby's averaging 9 yards a carry. Now you could say, well, he's got a game's worth of carries, 18 carries for 160 some yards. I mean, 9 yards a carry. Even if he gets cut in half, he's obviously hitting. He's just going straight. He's almost like doing it without thinking, just taking the ball and running forward and getting the yards by accident sometimes because he's just running so violently forward. So you might have to make that decision of we got to have to start mixing this up a little bit more. Give Tank 5 to 8, give Shipley a couple touches in the passing game. I mean, at this stage, with the way the running game's going, you might have to suck up a little pride here. I talked about this and I posted it yesterday on my X handle. They gave Barkley that extension. I was not a fan of that decision at all.
Well, remember, you took some shit on this show and you said it in the summer.
And
you don't have to do it. But I don't worry about that because.
Well, I'm just saying he is. The thing that made me think about it is he is signed through the 2028 season. I mean, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. You're looking at him being the running back here potentially for 4 more years. If that's the case, you might want to start.
I mean, you can get out of that.
I'm sure you can, but 41 million. He got a lot. I think it was like 36 million guaranteed up front, I think was the number, if memory serves.
Which, that was an example. And I agree from a pure business perspective that, they didn't have to do it. And it was more of a, hey, thanks for the season more than anything else.
Yep.
Long term,
they admitted in the Super Bowl season in 2017 that they got a little nostalgic and signed guys and gave them contracts that they probably shouldn't. Jeffries was one of them. And you think about the first decision they made after winning this Super Bowl. Did they go similarly down that road of, hey, we won the Super Bowl? And we all saw the way, if we watched the Saquon documentary, how Howie basically told Saquon, you were the reason why, bringing you here was why. Here's your money, man. Thank you. It was, and that's the first decision of is this one going to come back?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think from a business perspective it's going to hurt them. I
always say that Howie signs these deals knowing how he can get out of them. So
basically what he did is he kicked the can down a road one season, so they can get out of it if they wanted to. and didn't sign the extension, they could have got out of it after this season.
Yeah.
And
By the
maybe
way,
you could
John,
argue.
update to the media schedule today. Did you get this?
Yeah, I just got
Nick
it.
at 12:10. So if you have to hurry up and get out of here soon.
I got 20 minutes. We got to get you out of here at my Gill show. That actually improves the day for me, but except the open locker room's a little bit later. But so anyway, they could have gotten out of it after this year. Now they can't get out of it until after next season. So
yeah. But
you know,
if you watch the year that you just got here, would you be thinking about it?
yeah, a little bit. You have to think about, is it, as I always say, this game moves quickly, and when guys lose it, they lose it. But I look at him athletically, he still looks like he's got some juice.
Yeah. I don't think he's a top problem on this team right now.
Well, I don't know if you guys were probably Jason Avant was saying the other day that he's like, look, Saquon's my friend, and I have to call you out. You are running timid. You are looking like a guy who got your money and doesn't want to get hurt. I thought that was a pretty big call out from a former player to a guy saying, you look timid. You don't want to get hurt. You got your money. Yeah. Like, I don't know that I'm watching Saquon thinking, here's a guy who has that mindset. Like, I just feel like there's not but if you look at some of the stuff, there are times where you're like, man, if he just kind of hit and went, bang, he could break it this way. And it's like he's just trying to push forward into the whole.
I was talking to Ross Tucker, this is the Giants, Saquon. This is what the Giants saw. This is a guy who is a phenomenal athlete who never had the best vision. So when you hit it, it looks great, but the 4 or 5 yard stuff where you're patient, that's not his strength.
The stat that stands out about him is last year, almost 4 yards before he got touched, 3.8 yards before contact. This year, that number is like 1.8. So he's getting hit almost immediately, as opposed to last year, he's getting 4 yards before anybody's touching him. That's a huge.
Yeah, I mean, somebody put a clip yesterday of they put all his runs together, or a lot of them. I mean, Landon Dickerson gets blown up on a lot of these runs. Now, I'm not saying Saquon, is doing a great job in every moment, but I do think the offensive line is a big part of it. All right, Mike,
go ahead.
John, real quick.
The one that everybody threw out there which was a pin and pull, and Landon didn't get outside, which is correct. So you can say, well, Landon Dickerson's not making that block. But, the top vision runners, like Jonathan Taylor, probably number one right now, cuts that back and you get 4 or 5 yards. That's what he's meant. Like he went. That's what you're supposed to follow your blocker. But there's that innate sense with the great sort of vision runners. All right, that's not there. I'm not going to hit the 80-yard home run, so I'm going to cut it back and get 4 or 5 yards.
Well, and you wonder how much frustration there is that he can't hit that big one, and he's trying so hard to do it.
Exactly. I think that's a part of it, too. All right, Mike, Black Friday game, Eagles-Bears. They're 4-3 in their last 7 games, the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you got? Who do you think? You think the Eagles win this game?
Well, I took Dallas last week, and I got a lot of crap for that one. And I've been saying all year, I think this Bears team is very dangerous. In fact, there's always a team that goes from worst to first, and we're looking around divisions, and we couldn't find any. And I said at the beginning of the year, don't discount it being the Bears as that team, because as this season goes on, they are getting more and more and more comfortable with the offense with Ben Johnson. They're finding some rhythm. If you watch them play, there's a story to be told. And the one thing, Courtney Cronin wrote a great article over at ESPN about the strongest unit of their team is the offensive line. They went out and made trades and drafted and bolstered a awful line.
It's always the offensive line.
And has made their line one of the best. And if the Eagles' pass rush is as negated as it was last week against the Bears, they're going to have some problems. And if their offense is as bad as I've seen this offense all year has been mediocre at its top level. They will lose this game on Friday, and there will be a lot of fun on this show.
That's gonna be chicken
Another thing
little
to
time.
watch: Bears are plus 16 in the turnover margin this year.
Their defense, by the way, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Hello. Kevin Byard leads the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
Welcome to Lincoln Financial Field.
By the way, they might be getting Jalen Johnson back, who's one of the best corners in football. They might be getting Kyler
TJ
Gordon
Edwards,
back.
by the way. It looks like he'll be out, but
He'll be out.
Wait, so did you say the Bears? Sorry, I missed it. Did you say the Bears are going to win?
I like the Bears to win the game. I know the Eagles are a pretty heavy favorite in the game, too. I'd go money line Bears.
Mike's picking the Bears. All right, Mike, we appreciate it, man. Extra time. Happy Thanksgiving to you,
Happy
Michael.
Thanksgiving, Michael.
Yeah. We appreciate you joining every week, Mike. People love listening to you. You're obviously a great sports mind. We appreciate it. Make sure everybody goes and follows Mike at Mike Gill Show. Mike, happy Thanksgiving, man. We'll talk to you again soon. All right, brother?
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'll see you.
All right, later, man. There's Mike Gill joining us right here.
The YouTube channel's out. Well, same thing, at Mike Gill Show.
Yeah, at Mike Gill Show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Love having Mike on. Great sports mind, Johnny Mac. Great sports talker as well. So always good to talk to Mike Gill. Good stuff there, John. How about that, man? Bears team last year, Bears team is plus 16 in the turnover margin this year. They have put a big emphasis on that, and they have been very successful. They were only plus 8 in a total year last year. They're already plus 16.
Yeah, they got a ton of interceptions.
Yeah.
Kevin Byard's got 5. Nashawn Wright's got 5. He's come out of nowhere.
Man, yeah.
Tremaine Edmonds has 4. So those are the big 3. But Tremaine Edmonds is on IR, so he's not going to be there. Their top 2 linebackers are not going to be there. They are getting some corners back, I think, with Jalen Johnson potentially. I shouldn't say getting back. He's a very good player. Kyler Gordon, very good player. But again, they haven't played for a long time, so there's going to be some rust. Now, the turnovers, you're right. They turn the ball over a lot. So it's strength versus strength. The Eagles don't turn over the ball. But their defense is not good from a number standpoint. They give up a lot of yards.
But the Cowboys defense sucked too. It's all
but
I saw someone tweet, you want to improve your defensive numbers? Play the Eagles. I'm like, oh gosh, that's how bad our
the Eagles had 340 yards against the Cowboys. So they moved the ball. At least for them, they did. Now, when you compare it to the Cowboys, who were up over 470,
plus 100 yards of penalties.
Yeah. How much was taken off the board? Although that one where I think Dak knew that was a penalty, and that's why he threw the interception. He was like, he knew it was a free play.
I thought that was.
So a lot of people are up. Like that shifted the game. No, that's what smart quarterbacks do. It's a penalty, you take a shot.
Yeah, right.
So that I didn't agree with. Offensively, they move the football with Ben Johnson. They're very good. Defensively, they give up yardage and they turn it over. So are the Eagles going to turn over the football 4 times? I doubt it. I mean, 2 is that's bad for them. And one of those was on special teams.
Right. All right, this is a perfect segue, John, into my next topic and my next question for you. So I'm talking to Eagles fans, and as always, after a loss, a lot of Eagles fans dissect and they have their version of what they believe the changes need to be, whether right or wrong. Most of them lie offensive side, where you look at the philosophy, you look at the way they're playing, you look at the run game. People want to open it up. People want to throw the football more. And I think all of these things are great to talk about, but I'm of the belief, John, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I'm of the belief that Nick Sirianni does not think the Dallas Cowboys loss was a problem that needs changing. I'm of the belief that he views it as an outlier game where they had 14 penalties and they had 2 turnovers and they lost the game. His 40-2 record when they win the turnover battle still remains. He had an outlier game with penalties, which negated a lot of their offensive success in the second half. And I think Nick Sirianni is like, I'm not changing anything because we lost the game. We had an outlier game with penalties and 2 turnovers. We haven't done that most of the year. We lost the game. If we fix those 2 things, we'll be back in the win column. You think I'm right, or you think he's looking at it more like we need to make a change?
No, 100% right. 100%. You're right. No, yeah. No penalties. No turnovers. They win that game. Which is not incorrect, by the way.
So all the shit that we talk about, they don't even think about it like we do. They don't even look at
No.
it.
Well, and their defense, they can't because
No,
they can't
I
be,
agree. But
yeah,
I
I'm not talking about it. They can't be.
there is a
crazy.
level of naive, like you always say. Just because a great coach is a great coach, it doesn't mean you can't call him out when you think he's wrong.
No, there's nothing wrong with that,
Yeah.
but I mean, they just can't be emotional about it. I mean, you can't approach this game in an emotional fashion. Yeah, the reality is, forget about the turnovers because, they have been riding this turnover wave, which is unbelievable, historic from not turning the football over. And, they get a bad break with Saquon, somebody coming from behind. He puts the ball on the ground. Poor decision by Xavier Gibson. Puts the ball on the ground. And by the way, the defense persevered in those instances, but still, it would have affected you from an offensive standpoint. And the penalties, again, we brought up the certain plays where 1st and 10 at the 40 becomes first and 15 from 2nd and 10 becomes 2nd and 15. Backed up, and all of a sudden you're behind the sticks. So, cleaning up the penalties and the pre-snap stuff. Some of the stuff, like Brett Johnson getting his hands up in somebody's face mask, that's a penalty. There's nothing you can do about that. But the pre-snap stuff you can fix, or you should be trying to fix, and they certainly are. I've talked to Jalen Hurts about that, which has been pretty consistent this year. And that's where I think, if you want to blame the coaching staff, start there. Start there. Because it's their job to get those guys ready for those situations. And Nick will say things that take literally no talent. Things that take no talent. Doesn't take talent to line up correctly. Not any talent whatsoever.
Well, do you think this lack of focus that they had in this week is a microcosm of maybe a bigger picture that we've talked about, where playing this way while resulting in success is fine, and it makes sense from a Sirianni perspective of they're 40-2 and they win the battle. His philosophy works, as much as fans bitch about it, and me included. I bitch about it too because I hate the damn offense. But are players not bought in? Is he losing players? Are they not? You know what I mean? Like we talk, you always talk about this, how hard it is to get 52 men bought into one goal, one vision. AJ doesn't like it. We've heard Devontae is upset with I mean, they're all in a way feeling that. I think you've even heard Jalen make comments, and he's got comments going both ways. But do you think that's a part of it?
Well, I mean, look, when things go bad, because it is a public profession, when things go bad, like this is not rare in any city, never mind with bad teams, which obviously is a constant complaint about what's not going right, what's going wrong. But even to a certain degree, and I've compared it to college and, schools like Alabama, your school, where it's not good enough to win, you have to win a certain way. It becomes when you reach these expectations. So it's not that part of it actually complicates things, because if it wasn't so public, you could be more patient and you could be more tempered, and
Right.
you could understand there needs to be growth and there needs to be getting better, and not constant change, which is continuity is always better than the alternative. So yeah, it's a part of it. I mean, when guys are and guys, and by the way, players get paid on production. So it's almost like a disconnect where you say, Nick Sirianni is trying to preach to a room of 70 people, team first, team first, team first, and their whole professional life is based on their production. Their next contract is based not on the team success. That's part of it. I mean, that helps, but it's based more on
it really though. Like it does for maybe like the top 5 players.
Well, yeah, it doesn't hurt. Let's put it that way. It helps.
I get it. It doesn't hurt, but like there's, with the exception of probably Jalen Hurts.
So that's the
Is AJ Brown going to get a $30 million contract, getting 900 yards a year? No effing way. No way.
Yeah, and that's the part you're dealing with. That's how difficult it is to be a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's why I bring up managing personalities are way more important than what people think is important. Especially when
Nick's doing a good job at that. He clearly did a good job last year, but
I think overall, yeah, compared to others, he does a very good job. But it's a very difficult thing to do. Nobody's ever on the same page. You can't get 7
this year.
No, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. I mean, AJ's complaints are the same complaints he had last year. Literally the same complaints.
Yeah, but it seems like the pressure on them is increasing.
Well, the expectations are, but they were that last year. They were, maybe not early in the season.
Yeah, but remember they had the one game last year that was really working, for most of the year.
I mean, I think the expectations have been off the charts here since, going to the Super Bowl and losing it to the Chiefs. They've been, and that's not necessarily a bad thing to have high expectations, but it does create other issues. And that's what, people talk about handling adversity. They're usually talking about adversity. Well, handling success is sometimes just as difficult for different reasons.
Yeah, right.
You have to be honest. Like one of the toughest things is to be honest with yourself. Like what are the real problems? And when you're good, you say, well, we'll figure it out. And Jalen Hurts said that yesterday. It's coming. It'll come, is what he said. It'll come. Well, will it?
Yeah, right. That's the other thing. It's like, Jalen yesterday makes a comment and he's like, I'm not interested in, my individual performance before the macro. The team lost the game. That's more important. And I'm like, okay, that comment sounds great, but like, are you of the impression that your individual performance doesn't have an impact on winning the game? I mean, what the fuck are we talking about here? You're the quarterback of the team. I get it. Wins are first. Your individual performance matters for wins. Obviously, you're the quarterback of the team.
Yeah. Obviously, if you play well individually, the more people that play well, the better chance. But that's to the point of, again, winning ugly versus losing pretty, for lack of a better term, or prettier. And there's a disconnect between the goal on the football field and the goal in the off-season contract negotiations. And that's not going to get fixed. The Eagles can't fix it. It's not fixable. So to get people to buy in is very difficult at any particular time. Like I'm sure as a rookie, Jahad Campbell's pissed off. He doesn't even have an impending contract, but he's playing well, and all of a sudden he's not playing. Through no fault of his own. Just somebody got healthy, and Vic likes him better, and there's always little things. And then you have unrealistic players. You have all these different. It is really difficult. Guys who maybe were playing well in the past and aren't playing well, and guys on the ascent and guys on the descent, and they're passing like ships in the night. And you got to figure out this giant mosaic. And oh, by the way, win every week because, again, at the end of the day, they're 8-3 with a home game that will virtually assure the number 2 seed at the worst, barring a complete collapse, because they'll have the tiebreaker against every relevant team.
Well, John, this is going to get real interesting if they lose Friday and the Cowboys beat the Chiefs on Thanksgiving.
Well, I don't think even the Cowboys are relevant.
I don't either. I'm just saying,
But,
it's the NFL. Crazier things have happened.
Oh, I would. It would. Yeah, I mean,
the Cowboys' defense looks a whole lot different with those interior tackles, and their offense is humming. That Chiefs team, while it's good, they're not the best Chiefs team we've ever seen. I mean,
no, it wouldn't surprise. I'm not saying the Cowboys can't beat the Chiefs or the Bears can't beat the Eagles. I'm just saying, look, the sky isn't falling yet. Wait for the sky to fall. They're 8-3. They're in better position than the vast majority of teams in the NFL. The vast majority. The only ones you can argue, obviously, are the Rams. And even the Rams, I mean, they have the tiebreaker over the Rams. If the Rams have one slip up,
But that would assume that the Eagles don't have another slip up.
Well, yeah. I mean, they got to win.
The way they're playing, that margin is so small, it would almost be foolish to expect them to not have another slip up.
Look at the schedule. I know people are talking themselves into the Bears. I am not.
Well, we lost to the Cowboys, who are a mediocre team, and we lost to the Giants. I mean, I get it. They're 2 divisional opponents. You lost to the Broncos, who's a good team, but it's not like we've lost games that we should have won. Is my point. So, like, if we should win,
of course they're favorite. They're favorite every week. I mean,
yeah, and I don't think that means they're going to win every week. They were favored versus the Cowboys last week.
No, it doesn't. That's not what I'm trying to say. The same thing goes on in every other city. Welcome to every other NFL city.
Yeah, I get it. All right, John. Let's move into this Bears game. All right, let's move. We don't have a show tomorrow, so we got to dive into it now. First, I'll just get your initial thought on the game. Eagles, Bears, Black Friday, 2 8-3 teams. Bears are winners of 4 straight. They lead the NFL with 5 comeback victories this season. They have an offense that is a little stagnant and inconsistent, but they have a lot of playmakers. They got 2 running backs. They got the 2 tight ends. They got multiple receivers, and they have Caleb Williams, who, he is what it is. He's coming along a little bit. He's got great talent, but sometimes he plays a lot off schedule, probably much to what Ben Johnson doesn't want him to do. And then you got the Eagles, who defense has gotten better. Offense has been pretty below average all year long. Let's call a spade a spade. What do you think coming into the game? Just your initial thought on Eagles Bears on Black Friday.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of a mini NFC championship game. Obviously not the same stakes, but I think people are very excited about the Bears. Very splashy because of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. And you mentioned some of the playmakers, and they're obviously better than they have been, to say the least. But they're not ready for this spot. The one thing concerns me is the short week, because last time they didn't handle that well, the Eagles. But this team's they've won 14 of 15 at Lincoln Financial Field. They never lost to an NFC North team. They're coming off a loss. I think they're going to be very focused from that standpoint. You got a young quarterback against Vic Fangio, susceptible to mistakes. You got a team that relies on turnovers because they give up yardage, and they're facing the best ball security team of the century, and maybe of 50, 60 years. I don't look at this as nearly the daunting matchup that other people have talked themselves in this to be.
All right, so the question for you then would be, for me, is where are the Eagles better than the Bears? Because I don't disagree with what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from. Where the Bears might, they're 8-3, but might be a little bit fraudulent, or they might not be as good as their record says they are. But I don't think the Eagles are as good as their record says. I think we're going off of what they did last year. The 25 season has been ugly. It's been a small margin. They have not done anything explosive offensively. The defense, while it's gotten better, still clearly has holes, still clearly has problems. Where are the Eagles better than the Bears?
Well, defensively, I think they have a much better defense, much more sound defense, much more structural defense. I think they're, it's hard to say, with the Eagles offense, but, the potential is there. But obviously they don't produce. So the Eagles certainly have the better quarterback from the standpoint of winning games, from the standpoint of understanding what it takes to winning games. That the Bears have a more talented quarterback, but that to me is a different conversation. And I don't think that's particularly close. And they're gonna get some yardage, but they don't. The team, and we're just coming off it. The team that can hurt the Eagles defensively is the team that you just saw, the Dallas Cowboys, or a team like the Dallas Cowboys that have a very savvy quarterback who can get the football to playmakers.
Right.
Now, Caleb can certainly do that, but he can't do it consistently. You're going to have these ebbs and flows. Like he's going to make some plays that you're going to go, wow, that's him. And then he's going to make some plays when you're going to go, really? Which you're not going to have those plays with, everybody make mistakes, but you're not going to have nearly that than a Matthew Stafford or Dak Prescott, players like that who are experienced and things like that. So I just don't think they're going in the right direction. 2 years from now, they might be the best team in the NFC if they can figure out some of the defensive woes, and Ben Johnson can keep Caleb Williams going on a nice trajectory. But they're not ready for this yet. They're not ready for this spot. And I think the Eagles are going to beat them by 2 scores, even with all the issues that they're having. Yeah, I don't think this is nearly as daunting as people are making it out to be. I really don't.
Fair. I'm fine with that opinion. The Eagles have been outgained, as Curtis says in the chat, 10 out of 11 games. Obviously, that's not a good trend, and the margin is small. So I happen to think it's going to be a close game. I do think the Eagles will win the game, but I don't. I mean,
Well, I've been talking about the yardage differential all year.
Yeah.
I've been talking about the margin of error dating back to last year. I don't like the style of football they play, the offensive football. I've been very honest about that. But they're a good football team. They're a proven football team. Coming off a loss that they shouldn't have lost, and they're going to have that sort of thorn in their paw. I always talk about spots, and this is not a great spot for the Bears. Now, if they beat the Cowboys 24-21, I'd say, you know what, they might catch them. But the Eagles lost the game. I just, the Bears are a good young team that hasn't been tested in playoff level football. And there's stages to that.
But so more of your confidence in the Eagles, does it come from what they've done this year, or more from what you just mentioned? They're more of a battle-tested team. They've been through more. They have more playoff success.
Well, it's funny because most of Eagles fans think they're the most talented team in the history of football. Like I don't get it. I don't go down that route. I think it's way closer than people realize. And then Chicago comes in with a bunch of playmakers, and they're fearful of the Chicago Bears. Like the Eagles don't have more talent up and down the roster.
I think they're
like,
fearful.
How does that compute? Where does that come from?
I think the compute is more just like this Eagles team doesn't pass the eye test. They're not good offensively. Their defense, while it's made a lot of great strides and there's some optimism there, they're probably still middle of the pack.
So where are they talent-wise?
Talent-wise, I think they're better than the Bears for sure. I mean, I don't know. You tell me. You said the quarterback's got more talent. They have while they don't have probably the
Well, he's got
playmakers
more
of.
talent, but it's not all about, there's a lot of guys who have more
I'm just
talent.
answering your question. You asked me about the talent. I mean, I think the receivers are more talented, but are the Bears receivers more productive right now? I don't know. I got to go and look. Bears got 2 tight ends. They got the Loveland kid they just drafted. They got the dual running backs that they use similarly to the Temu version of Jahmyr Gibbs and Montgomery.
Yeah.
Their offensive line's playing great.
That's
Their
what,
offensive line's
where is the sweat? I'm asking where. I'm not the Eagles fan, like the people in the chat. I'm not the Eagles fan. Where's the swagger gone? One loss in Dallas, best team. Like the coaches get blamed because they don't accentuate the greatest talent in the history of man. Like that's the part I don't understand. That's the part I'm trying to get. Like all of a sudden,
to be honest with you, I think a lot of fans are living on that Super Bowl from 8 months ago. That was last season, though. I mean, that's not this year. That to me doesn't really matter for this team. This is a different.
Of course, team. That's what they were. That's why you've never heard me call them defending champions. I call them reigning champions. I've said that from day one. Everything's different in the NFL from year to year. But they have significantly more talent than the Chicago Bears from an NFL
the
perspective.
Bears offensive line playing better than the Eagles offensive line right now?
Yeah, certainly coming off last week. That's the worst offensive line game the Eagles have played in a very long time.
And they don't have Lane Johnson. They're not going to have Lane again. Cam Jurgens, I mean, we all saw what he did in the versus Dallas. He was absolutely horrible. Like Landon Dickerson's been a shell of himself. That's why, I mean, I'm like, I get it. You think it's a double-digit win. You don't really crush teams in the NFL when you don't dominate in the trenches. I don't see the Eagles dominating.
Well, I got again for what Landon Dickerson has been in his career. He's not nearly up to that standard. He's still better than the vast majority of left guards in the NFL. Like I think there's a disconnect of like where these players are. Like AJ Brown. Not up to his usual standard, but still better than the vast majority of receivers in the NFL. Saquon, I can't even explain. I wish I could because he has not been better than the vast majority of running backs. Dallas Goedert, again, not what he once was, but Loveland might be better in 2 years, but he ain't better now. Maybe even next year, but he ain't better now. Jordan Mailata, not what he was last year, but still top 5 left tackle in football. The defense, nobody complains about the defense for the most part, nor should they. Good unit, not quite as good as last year, but better than I expected. Yeah, I guess I'm not as down on the talent, ironic, but I was never as high on the talent.
I'm not down on the talent. I just don't think right now they're playing good football. I don't think they're a good team right now.
Well, they played terrible in the second half in Dallas, no doubt about it.
I don't know, man. They played. What would you say offensively has been underwhelming offensive performances this year? We've played 11 games.
Well, offensively, to me, they played poorly defensively. They played poorly offensively. They played poorly on special teams. So that's what I'm talking about when they played poorly in Dallas. Offensively, it's been more of a slog, obviously, but defensively, everybody thought they were better than last year because of 2 weather games. You don't have to go back too far where it's, they figured everything out.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So, I mean, yeah, part of it is the defense was playing much better at times. The special teams was playing much better at times. The offense has been underachieving for the most part for the entire season for different reasons. And I said, I mean, most of the reasons is the players aren't playing as well. I can only come up with 2 starters who are playing better than they played last year. And that to me is Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. And that's it. And I don't count Tyler Steen because he didn't start last year. But he's done an okay job. Better than I expected. I mean, to me, it comes down to that. You got players not playing as well as they played last year, most notably Saquon Barkley. And only because I'm not picking on Saquon, I say that because of what he was to this team last season. Like, if you have the same Saquon Barkley, I don't think there's much difference from this team and last year's team at all. If you want to boil it down to one thing, which you should never do, but the closest, if you had the same Saquon Barkley season, this would be virtually the same stinking team, maybe even a little bit better. They'd be a little bit worse defensively, which they are.
Yeah, I mean, I understand.
But maybe a little bit better because I think Jalen Hurts is having a better season than he had last year. But they can't figure out the freaking running game.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting part of it. We'll see. So, John, how do you see the game going then? I mean, what do you think? Like, I guess it's hard to predict this, but you always talk about the personalities of games. I think the Dallas game, you could kind of tell because, it was an indoor game in Dallas. Obviously, Dallas has the high-flying offense, and their defense is not so good. Eagles' offense is a little bit stagnant and inconsistent. They get the ups and the downs, as you saw again in Dallas. What do you think the personality of this game will be?
Yeah, I gotta check the weather.
It says 41 on Friday.
It's gonna get chilly. So, I mean, the Bears are obviously used to playing in poor weather, but just from the general sense of offense, it's going to affect the offense, as you saw with Green Bay and Detroit, even top tier offenses. So I think that helps the defense on both sides of the football. And I think as you've seen with the Eagles' ability to stop Green Bay and their ability to stop Detroit, both top 10 offenses, I think they're better equipped to have that ability than the Bears defense is equipped to even play with a limited. And again, we're talking about probably 23-13 type-ish, because the Eagles are not capable of scoring 45 points. And if they are, they're going to get a defensive touchdown or something of that nature. But I think the Bears are going to struggle offensively against this defense.
Would it be crazy to say I think the Eagles are going to struggle offense?
Well, no, it's never crazy. But people will look at the numbers and say, well, this is the 6th ranked offense. This is the 2nd ranked rushing offense. They're 8th in points per game. They're top 10 in, all the meaningful statistics, basically. And I think people are going to say, whoa, similar to Detroit, not at that level, but similar to Detroit. I think people are going to come into it with the mindset of they're going to score a bunch of points. And I think part of it is just the weather, outdoor, Northeast, Midwest in November, late November, things tighten up. And then, part of it is, I think Caleb Williams is going to be confused by a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if he isn't, I'll be the first one to come on here whenever we get on after the game and say, well done, young man. But
because of Vic, is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, partially Vic, but the players got to play. I mean, the Eagles play a more complicated style of coverage than most NFL teams.
Yeah, and it confuses young quarterbacks.
Yes. Now, it also, it can hurt you when Michael Carter runs into Quinyon Mitchell in a big spot because you got all these moving parts and now, but again, the positive is Reed Blankenship's going to play. So you got your traffic cop back there. Adoree Jackson's going to play. So you have a veteran guy. Adoree's going to get beat, but he knows how to play. He's not going to make those mistakes. He's not going to pick his own player. You've seen it, the confusion of quarterbacks.
Yeah. How much do you think his scrambling ability, changes that? Because he does have that ability, and You know, when you have a quarterback at golf or something, now he's obviously a veteran, but I'm just saying if they're stuck in the pocket, you can get to him, or if you confuse him that way, it's a little easier. When you have the ability like Caleb, like he'll just roll out, kind of like an old school Hurts, you know, just roll out and try and make a play that way.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, off the charts athletically. Like I said, there's going to be 3-4 plays he's going to make in this game that are going to frustrate the living hell out of you because there's not many people in the world. He's got this ability to go right, which is and throw these footballs on a line 30, 40 yards down the field. You're probably going to see one of those. You know, interestingly, he doesn't like to run, which actually I think is a positive long term for the Bears because he's always looking pass first. As I said, Jalen Hurts has more rushing yards than he does. Not because he shouldn't. I mean, if he wanted to be, if he wanted to run for 8, 9, even 1,000, he could do it. He's that athletic. But he looks to throw the football first, which is a good thing for the Chicago Bears. But yeah, I'm sure in key situations he'll have Zach Baun as the spy because he can beat you. But the good news is, again, we talk about now there's a bunch of tush pushes with Jalen Hurts that take down his average. So I'm not talking about average. Caleb's at 5.2. Jalen's at 3.7. But Jalen has 298 yards rushing, and people don't think he runs the ball nearly enough. Caleb Williams has 293. He doesn't like to run the ball. You know, as a rookie, Caleb Williams, he didn't have one rushing touchdown. Not one. Not one. He's got 3 this year, so he's doing it a little bit more. Yeah. But he's not a runner. He doesn't like to run.
Yeah, he likes to throw the ball. He just wants to make play. Yeah, he'll just escape the pocket.
Yeah. And like I said, there's going to be 3 or 4 plays he makes that are going to frustrate the living shit out of you because he's that type of athlete. But I also think there's going to be 4 or 5 times where he's not going to know what he's looking at, and Eagles are going to be able to make some plays, whether it's, pass rush, interception, whatever. Although he has been he's gotten a lot better with ball security as well this year. So he deserves credit for that.
No doubt. All right, Johnny Mac, we got 10 minutes left in the show. We're going to have a little fun here in the final 10 minutes of the show. All right. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope everybody has a great holiday. Don't forget to hit the like button today. John, for the final 10 minutes, real quick, I'll read these 2 supers. Devin says, haven't been here in a little while due to work, but wanted to stop in here and say happy Thanksgiving to J-Mac, Big Z, and the JAKIB community. Devin, thank you, brother. Happy Thanksgiving. Menifee says, don't know the order, but it's O-line, KP, in the run game. Menifee, thanks for the super, brother. Appreciate it. We dove into that, I think that's extensively this whole week. All right, John, I got a couple Thanksgiving questions. Now, full disclosure here, all right? I did not come up with these. I dropped into an AI. I said, it's Thanksgiving, and we're covering the 2025 Eagles. Give me a couple questions that we can have a Thanksgiving theme for the final 10 minutes of the show. So
AI runs the world, man.
I ruled out the ones, though, that are for fans. Like, who are you thankful for on the Eagle? Like shit like that. I've given ones that are more tailored that John McMullen could give a good answer on, okay? So the first one I'm going to hit you with here, John, is which Eagle deserves the biggest slice of Thanksgiving pie this season?
Which Eagle deserves the biggest slice of Thanksgiving pie? Who has been the best Eagles player? Certainly, I got to rule out everybody on offense.
Yep.
So a lot of choices on defense. Who am I going first? I guess I'm going to go Quinyon Mitchell.
Oh, that's a good one. I can buy that.
I think overall he didn't have a great game last week, but overall he's been really impressive.
Well, if it wasn't for Michael Carter running into his ass, he might have been able to stop Pickens on that last.
I doubt it, but it would have been better. It would have been better.
Quinyon's a good one. Jordan Davis, a couple of people saying Jordan Davis, maybe in Nakobe Dean. I think that's a little premature.
George's got to stay away from pie. So, but no, George's having a great year, career year for him. But come on, guys.
I guess Vic Fangio doesn't count because he's
Well, you can give it. If you're going to say most thankful, if you want to go the fan route, I would say I'm most thankful for Vic Fangio only because he tells the truth. And that's what I want.
All right. What's the Eagles' turkey of the season, aka the biggest disappointment of the season?
Boy, there's a lot of. I'm going right at the top, man. I'm going right at the top. Saquon Barkley, from expectations to where it is, right at the top.
Saquon Barkley is the turkey of the year. Oof.
That's
Many
brutal.
will say Kevin Patullo. Saquon, I think, is the right one. Offensive line could be in the running here too.
Well, Cam, other than Cam, I
Cam and
think
Landon.
I can't. Landon is still compared to his peers. Like to me, it's all expectations with Landon. Cam has played poorly. I don't think Landon has played poorly, just compared to his own expectations. And for both, though, I think it's all injury related. I got to pull up. I know I was looking at the other day, but Landon is 27 of 81 measured against guards, PFF, whatever. You know, if you have people who hate them, hate them. Cam is 30 of 38. So he's been flat out bad, underwater, one of the worst centers in football. Saquon, this is why I went Saquon. 48 of 59. 48 of 59. That's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
And who saw that coming?
All right, so that's the turkey. This one's going to be tough. There might not even be anything here, which is crazy to think about considering how good they were last year. What's been the Eagles' best leftover from last year?
What does that even mean? Best leftover.
Like you had a great running game. Do you have a great running game again this year? You had a great defense this year. Like what from last year's historic team has now translated and is also a part of the identity in the 25 season? I don't even see one. Sirianni,
their style of play.
Their risk-averse approach.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. That's a bad leftover. That's like the leftover that nobody wants to bring home, but the person who made the dinner wants.
Maybe it's a leftover that the vast majority of people will not like, but maybe like 10%.
We got some better ones in the chat. Linebackers, Vaughn, All-Pro Vaughn. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think Zach's been very consistent. I considered Zach for the best, the biggest slice of turkey, but I went Quignon. You could go Zach as well. Very, very consistent player. Yeah, but as far as what is the most to me, the most unchanging, it's the risk-averse philosophy, the style of play, and by the way, they're performing in that small lane at a historic level.
Yeah. I think Coop and Quignon are good options there for left. I think linebacker, though, I'm going to go Zach Ball in there. That, to me, feels like the best. You get an all-pro season last year, and he's followed it up with another great one. All right, final one here, John. If the Eagles' offense were a Thanksgiving dish, what would it be? You got like dry turkey. Nobody wants to eat the dry turkey.
Turkey
stuffing, stuffing's a little inconsistent, but it's solid. You can go cranberry. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
I'm not a cranberry guy. So for me, I think this is very personal. I'm not a cranberry guy. So, I would say cranberries for me, but it's basically what you don't like. So whoever out there is what you don't like the most, that's what it is.
So you don't think there's people out there that like the offense?
No, who is?
I don't either. I don't either, John.
I
I
don't
don't know.
think anybody.
A couple people were like, "Hey, we're 8-3, Xander. Shut up. Why are you talking about the offense? You're crying." No,
Well,
my
there's always a very
close.
small. I'm not talking about the wing nuts. There's always extremes on both sides.
Yeah, that's true.
I call them wing nuts, the political term. There's always those people. I'm talking about the bass middle. Nobody likes this offense.
I
Nobody.
think dry turkey is a good one for this offense.
Well, turkey to me is dry turkey,
It's all dry kind of.
tremendous turkey. Turkey's turkey. It's good. So, is it good? I don't know. It's up to you.
All right, those are my Thanksgiving questions here. I wanted to put a small Thanksgiving slant on the show today. I felt like I could do a couple that Johnny Mack would entertain. I think I got him, my guys. I think I got him to entertain it. All right, John, we got a couple minutes left on the show here. We got one more super chat. Let's get to it. Hogan, what's up, Hogan? Happy Thanksgiving, Xander, J-Mac, and chat. Happy Thanksgiving, brother. I see a 49ers versus Eagles matchup coming. By the way, J-Mac, WWE Survivor Series this weekend.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to watch that. It's very difficult. Not a lot of time, but
John, I watched something on Netflix. Have you seen the show on Netflix where they did like a behind the scenes on WWE?
Oh yeah,
man, was I
in the writers' room. Interesting. Yeah, good
I
show.
was very enamored by that. I love production, John. I've always loved production. Maybe just kind of in my blood. My dad's the same way. He loves media, loves production, loves stuff like that. I mean, I think if people watch that, they would have a lot more interest or even like understanding and respect for the WWE, because it's tremendous how much goes into it. Like, I don't think the common person even thinks about 5% of that. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just scripted wrestling. Who cares?
Yeah, it's it's turned into what it is. It's multi-billion-dollar business. And part of the reason is that production. The production, even I know a lot of people in wrestling. I know a lot about. Yeah. I know way too much about wrestling than I should, but even I learned things watching that show. Like, I didn't know how big of an impact referees had.
Yeah.
I just thought there was some. I mean, they got a lot of responsibility. A lot. And that was that when I watched that show, I was like, wow, I have way more respect for. You generally don't think about them, and it is a tough job.
I like Triple H too, man. I like him. I think he's perfect for that job.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. I mean, they've never, it's about, we always talk about NFL, it's about winning, and that it's about revenue, and they've broken so many revenue records since he's taken over. It's what you're gauged on.
Yeah, basically. All right, Hogan, good stuff, man. So enjoy the WWE event this weekend. Johnny Mack, I know you got to run. What's on the Eagles' agenda today? And then we'll get your final thought here on a Monday, or on a Wednesday, excuse me. No shut-ups to go around right now, Johnny Mack.
Yeah, no shut-ups for polite people. Eagles will win the football game. I guess we're doing a show Friday morning, right? Are we?
Friday morning, yeah.
I got to go to the game right after that. So
we could maybe abbreviate it if you because I know what's the game 3:00. Yeah, so you probably got to get down there. We could do an abbreviated show or something. I'll be live for 2 hours, but if we will,
well, yeah, I can get down there, but when we're going to do the pregame show, so there's going to be some redundancy, but they're going to win the football game. There's already going to be some because I've already made my prediction, but yeah, I think they're going to win. I just, improving team. I just don't think they're ready for this spot yet. And by the way, Thursday, Thanksgiving, the biggest game is the earliest game. Packers Lions. And right there, I mean, we could be thinking about the NFC North a lot differently after Friday's game if the Eagles handle their business.
Yeah. So wait, who plays on Thanksgiving? Packers and Lions?
Yeah.
Is that the game? Wow, that's a good one. So you got
Packers,
Cowboys, Chiefs, Packers, Lions, and who's the third game?
Bengals, Ravens, but Joe Burrow's going to play.
Joe
So at
Burrow's
least
back. Wow, 3 good games on Thanksgiving. Oh, great. So my family's going to be mad because I'm not going to – I'm going to be watching the TV all day. Fine, fair enough with me. All right, John, great show, my man. Get down there today, and we will talk to you on Football Friday. Have a great Thanksgiving, John. All of JAKIB Nation, I will speak for them all, is thankful for John McMullen. I, for one, know that I'm thankful for John McMullen and all you've taught me about the game of football and doing this show together. Johnny Mac, appreciate you, brother. We'll talk to him Friday.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy the day, and we'll get right back to football.
All right, Johnny Mac. Good stuff. There's John McMullen joining us right here on Birds 365. Well done today by Johnny Mac. Big thanks to Mike Gill, who joined the show in hour number 1. A lot of good topics today. I see all the buttercups are out. They're not happy with me because they just want me to come up here and say, we're 8-3, everybody. All is good in Eagle Land. If we lose again, they'll be like, we're 8-4. If we lose again, they'll be like, oh, we're 8-5. All the way up until we're like 500, I think. I don't even know what it would end. But team's got problems, I think, and I think we talked about them a lot here today, and a lot of good commentary. I am not as confident about the game on Friday as John is. I do feel like we're going to win the game, but I'm not as confident. That Bears team, dude, that every year there's a team that's just like sneaky. And they just like find ways to win games in a weird way. The Bears have been that team. They had 5 comeback wins this year. Remember, they should have lost to the Giants earlier in the year. You know, they beat the crap out of the Cowboys. The Bears team is a weird team, man. I'm telling you. And Ben Johnson, I don't know if any of you have caught any of his, like, you know, they kind of go viral on social media after they win, and he's all jacked up in the locker room. I love that speech. He does good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good gets better and your better gets best. But he's got that locker room fired up, man. He's completely shifted the culture in that building. And remember, in the offseason, I was a little high on the Bears. And you guys, John didn't like it. You guys didn't like it. There's 2 teams that I said were going to be better than people thought this year. I said the Cowboys are going to be better than people thought. I said the Bears are going to be better than people thought. It's looking like I might be right on both of them, guys. All right. I was certainly right I thought the Cowboys were going to get second in the NFC East. Remember, everybody called me delusional. Pumpers like, you're a fake Cowboy fan. I'm not a fake Cowboy fan. I'm just calling a spade. It's what I see. Turned out to be true. Where are my flowers? I'm just kidding. I don't need fucking flowers. But good stuff, guys. We got tons of good topics here on Zander Time that we'll talk about here. We'll do a jersey giveaway today. All right, so we'll do a jersey giveaway here going into the Thanksgiving holiday. I do, from the bottom of my heart, want to thank everybody. Thanksgiving is a time, I guess, to think about what you're thankful for. And I am thankful for all the great people we have here, all the loyal listeners that make the company possible, that make the shows possible, that come in, that super chat, that are member up, that contribute to the channel. So we do appreciate it, and I am thankful for each and every one of you, including people like this who can't stop whining. Look at this guy. A lot of whining from you today, little Z. Oh, you got me, dude. You got me. What do you think? The Eagles are the greatest team in football at 8-3? I'm sorry. Did I upset you? Cry more. So I'm appreciative even for people like that. And a happy Thanksgiving to you all. I hope you all have a great holiday. If you're like me, it's like, nothing changes. Like, I'm going to be watching football all day. I'm going to be watching football all day. So we will see what happens. All right. It's interesting. These next couple days, we will learn a lot about the NFC. Like, if the Bears win on Friday and the Cowboys win, the NFC East is going to be majorly interesting, because the Cowboys will at that point be 6-5. The Eagles will be 8-4, and the Cowboys have that tie, which could either help them or hurt them, depending on what the tiebreaker looks like. Then you're going to start to have a little bit more pressure in the Eagles games, where right now it looks like it's a runaway win in the NFC East. And in the NFC North, depending on who wins that Lions and Packers game, let me look up the NFC North. So Lions and Packers. So if the Packers lose, they'll fall to 7-4-1, and the Lions would go to 8-4. And if the Bears lose, they would be 8-4. So that would tighten that thing up. That would tighten that thing up. So the North could get interesting. The East could get interesting if the Eagles are unable to win on Friday. So a lot of interesting storylines coming in the next 2 days. And then the other thing that could happen, if the Eagles win Friday and the Cowboys lose, the East is over. It's done. Basically over. Unless basically the most drastic measures happen where the Eagles collapse completely and the Cowboys just went on a 5-game win streak, which I don't see happening. So, it could get real interesting, or it could effectively end the East in these next couple days. So it should be interesting to see kind of how it shakes out. I will address John and Reuben Frank. All right, we will talk about that. John, he was like, I'll talk about it, but I don't really want to give, I don't want to give it to him. And I get that, John, he said it needed to be done. He needed to be done. So I love John, and I love that he's a bully in there because, a lot of people just like, I got so many people, Rube's a legend, Zander, shut up. I'm like, fuck Rube. I don't give a fuck about Rube. Fuck it. You're coming to me talking, oh my God, don't disrespect Rube. I don't give a shit about Reuben Frank. What the hell do I care about Reuben Frank? Dude's a jerk off. John told him to shut up because he was wrong, by the way. Vic Fangio was done talking, and he jumps in. You got to get your question in. So John, as an alpha in the room, gets his question in, and Rube's crying, oh, let him finish. Shut up, Rube. Shut up, Rube. I love it. I love it. I tweeted it out that I loved it. I loved when he did it. I love when people tag me in it. And no, I don't give a rat's ass about Reuben Frank's feelings. What the fuck? Great stuff, John McMullen. Great stuff, Johnny Mac. Shut up, Rube. Hilarious. Hilarious. Shut up, Rube. Giga Chad, I see that. Giga Chad John is hilarious, man. That is classic. Yeah, he tells me to shut up too. I'm telling you, John's a tough guy to debate with, man. He is. He is. I give him a lot of credit for it. Pretty funny, though. Pump, what's up, Pump? I got the Bears winning. Just look at that offense. Funny part, most of the captains are on that side of the ball. Rube fat ass needs to pipe down. Yeah, agreed. I don't know about the Bears winning, though, Pump. We'll see. All right, we will see. Catch says, media room's a bunch of geeks. Yeah, but Catch, you don't give John enough credit. John is no beta bitch. John doesn't let anybody walk on him. And I respect that greatly about John. I respect any guy that's like that. I don't want people walk on you. Screw that. Rube was wrong. Rube was wrong. You can hear on the press conference, Vic's comment is done. He's not even speaking anymore. John butts in. Rube gets his panties in a bunch, tries to tell John to tell John, let him finish. Like Vic Fangio needs your defense, Reuben Frank. Yeah, Vic Fangio needs your defense, Rube. John says, shut up, Rube. I love it. I freaking love it. Catch, that says a lot about you. I'm one of 5, so I get it. I get it. I have 6 brothers and sisters. No one walks on me. That's great. That is great. So epic moment yesterday, and you gotta love it. You just gotta love it. I'm sorry, but I gotta love it. And the funny part is that a lot of people won't look at it like this, but I hear stories from that press room all the time. Rube does that to guys who won't push back on him. Like he tries to bully like the young reporters in there, so he can get the questions and he can dictate the room and all those things. And John's like, I'm not going to let him walk on me like that. Go try and walk in. And I'm happy that I did it because it gives the young guys more confidence to shut him up. John just said, the only thing I wish is that I didn't do it. I didn't do it on the mic, which I get, but and he apologized to Vic and those guys, but still pretty funny. Still pretty funny that happened yesterday. Vic was ready to go. Vic was loving it. Oh, man. Oh, HKP and Flex. Don't you two start fighting. I love both of you guys. All right. Don't you guys start fighting in here. It's Thanksgiving. Come on. So, classic yesterday with Johnny Mac. All right. I got a couple Thanksgiving questions for the chat now because I can't give them all to John, Catch, I agree with you completely. But, they got him hostage, dude. Catch, I understand where you come from. I really do. But the only thing I'll say to you, Catch, is like, what do you, like, don't be mad at the reporters. Like, what do you want them to do, dude? Like, these guys' livelihoods is attached to them having access. And if the Eagles are going to just basically fuck up their livelihood by taking away their access if they ask a wrong question, like, is it worth it for them? And you got to understand why some men who have a family, who have mouths to feed, a roof to buy over someone's head, you know what I mean? I get a catch. I'm with you, which is why I don't even take a call. Some people are like, why don't you try and work something out with them? And I'm like, deal with the devil. Deal with the devil. Not doing it. I'd rather remain unbiased and grow slower and grow my way. Maybe that's wrong with me. Many would say it is. It is what it is. I don't want to go down that road though. Z, Sixers wasted $500 million on 2 bums. Yeah, this isn't news, my friend. This isn't news. This is not news to me. So I knew they did that. But that was a tough loss last night, wasn't it? I think they lost about like 40 points, dude. Daz, have a great Thanksgiving, man. Appreciate you, brother. Have a great Thanksgiving, Daz. Appreciate you, fam. All right. Already working on a Thanksgiving meal before work. Nice, Robert. Enjoy it, my friend. Twiz got the cowboy profile. Whenever the Eagles lose to a division rival, I know that Twiz is going to be in here for a week with the opposing team's profile picture because he's made a bet or something. So it's pretty funny. I can always expect Twiz to have the opposing emblems when our team loses to a division rival. So Twiz the Jigga with the cowboy emblem right now. Our team is dysfunctional. Our media is Jerry Springer. Can you blame him? Here's Pump. What up, Pump? Tell Jalen Hurts to win a game during the holidays. Let us Eagles fans enjoy our time. Sick of seeing Buddy fold during my vacation. Oh, Pumper. Oh, Pumper. I know, Dak. It is, man. It's gross. 21-point lead. You lose the Cowboys. Oh, disgusting. It's disgusting. It was a disgusting loss last weekend. Pump, that's pretty funny. So does everybody think we're going to beat the Bears? Does anybody not think we're going to beat the Bears? Does anybody think we're going to lose to the Bears? Has anybody lost confidence in the football team to the point where you think we're going to lose to the Bears? Is anybody at that level? Twiz says belt the ass. Steven says J-Max too I'm with you on that. J-Max way too confident. Flexen says I think we lose. Jason says I think we lose. Pumper's got us losing. Christopher says I have no confidence in the offense. The defense and Vic gives me some hope. I'm with you. Flex says we stink. Gary says short week as Giants game all over it. Good point. Coming off a loss, though, but I guess, no, they weren't coming off a loss versus Giants. Pumper says our quarterback stinks. I don't think he's having a great year despite the individual stats that people keep pointing to. Big Mike Zander, a Dallas loss and Eagles win will restore peace. That's correct, Big Mike. I mentioned that. Oh, we were coming off the loss. Wait, no. I thought the Giant game we lost was first. Oh, no. No, we played the Giants week 6 and week 8. I thought it was week 5 and week 7. You're right. It was coming off the loss. That's right. Oh, my gosh. And we blew the lead in that game, too. Oh, Gary. Oh, no. Oh, no, you're right. The Giants game on a short week was coming off a collapse again. Oh, fuck. I thought the Giants game was the first loss, and then we lost to the Broncos. Oh, man. Jimmy, life doesn't suck, man. Come on, brother. I know. I guess you're laughing about it. You're just saying it. Oh, shit. History repeats itself, and that's just how it goes. Thank goodness it's one game. Dank, where are you, man? Dank, you're pretty. I respect Dank, and Dank, you're pretty Eagle homer, I would say. I don't think that's unfair, right? You normally have a pretty unwavering belief in the team. What do you think, Dank? You think we win the game Friday? Flexion, I think a lot of people are feeling that. Shh, we're gonna win. I like it, Bird Gang girl. Life's so weird being forced to be a Chiefs fan. Gambling baby, my full honest admission to you, and I'll say this, and I know people won't like it because we've now faced them in 2 Super Bowls. But ever since Andy got hired in Kansas City, as long as they're not playing the Eagles, I've always kind of liked to see Andy Reid succeed. People won't like that. I've always liked Andy Reid. I liked him when he was in Philly. I like Andy Reid, and I've always kind of wanted them to be successful. I'm not going to lie to you. So rooting for the Chiefs isn't that hard for me. I get it. They've won now the Super Bowls, and the story has kind of changed now, especially with our 2 Super Bowls versus them. But I'm just saying, I've always been fine with. I like seeing Andy win. I like seeing Andy win. I do. Let me find Dank's comment. Where's Dank? I'm at a point where I expect us to win, but they're annoying to watch sometimes. Sometimes, Dank, I find them annoying. Super Bowl repeat is what we're repeating. M. Ray is holding on to hope. Brian Waddington, you made one of the stupidest comments ever. Brian says, you're an emotional fan, Z. I'm like, I think the emotional people are people who just think everything is sunshine and rainbows. That's what I think is emotion, because you're driven by the emotion of your love for the team versus saying they're not that good is not emotional. That's just being a realist. I mean, guys, we're 4-3 in the last 7 games. We're an 8-3 football team. We've lost to the Giants and the Cowboys this year. Our offense is ranked at the bottom of the league. The defense, while showing signs of greatness, is still middle of the pack. I don't really. I think a lot of us, rightly, I get why. I'm not trying to say I don't get why, but a lot of our confidence comes from last year. It comes from last year. If last year didn't exist and you appeared on the earth on September 1st this year and you watched all the Eagles games, would anybody really think we were like the best team in football? Would anybody really think we were going to be a Super Bowl team? Would anybody really think that they would be this confident about the team? I don't know. Spin says, outstanding breakdown by Mike Gill. I thought Gill was great. M. Reyes would hold on to an engulfed building in hopes of it not burning down. M. Reyes, is Steven wrong? I don't think he is. Not too high, not too low. I'm not too low, Brian. I'm certainly not too high either. We maintain course. All right, Reyes. All right. A lot of negativity comes from 23 PTSD, but a lot of positivity comes from 24. So it's kind of a two-way street. I just think it's its own season, and I'm going off of this season. So, Twiz, I agree. If we remove 23 and the thought of a collapse, rule it out. If we remove 24 in the Super Bowl season, rule it out. What has the 25 Eagles shown you? Inconsistent, bad offense, getting by the skin of their teeth in many games. Just saying, that's the 25 team. Now, that doesn't mean they can't overcome that and go in and win Super Bowl or get hot at the right time. I mean, football, it's football. You guys get it. You get it. It's football. Anything can happen. Here's Pump. We need TNT. Tank and no way. TNT. Tank and Tanner. I believe this the game Old Man River Hurts gets benched. He has a noodle arm, and now he has noodle legs. Arthritis kills. Holy mackerel. Oh, my Lord. Holy mackerel. Look at Pumper. TNT. Yo, I got to give out JAKIB Awards after the season. Give me some ideas for JAKIB Awards. Funniest. Well, give me some ideas for JAKIB Awards to the great people of JAKIB Nation. I need some JAKIB Award. A shit list winner. Their only consistency is so true. To be honest, I think Jalen Hurts is going to run us to a win. Shine, I hope he starts running more. I think we need it. Sills is in here. Jalen Wentz hurts. Last two Eagles QBs both had a 5-year run. Then it was over. Super chatter of the year. Some good ones in there. Dumbest. I could put dumbest. That's a good one. Funnest. Dumbest. Dumbest chatter is a good one. Number one Glazer. I think we all know who that is. Number one Glazer. Top Glazer. Most polite. Most polite. How do I even know that? I don't even know. I don't know what that is. Funniest, I think, is Pumper. Honestly, I'm sorry, but you guys are nowhere close. This guy Pumper is the funniest. Softest, that's a good one. I'll go Dabney for that. Dominique Dabney, easily. Or Waddington. Well, that dude Waddington is that dude Waddington is freaking. That guy is a buttercup. That guy is a buttercup. Super chat of the year. That's hard, bro. Yeah, Dabney or hip hop, correct. Both of those two guys are buttercups and soft as hell. Baby Sharman. Hip hop is ready to fight me. Yeah, he's a pussy. Oh my God, you disagreed about my football team. Oh, shut up, dork. You guys are, I mean, people who think like that. Let me just put a collective public service announcement. Okay? If you disagree with me about football, I don't think you're a bad person. Most profane, I might win that award. I might win that award. Oh, look at Waddington. Oh, what? I knew I'd get you. I knew I'd get you, Waddington. Best troll. Geez, guys, Pumper's winning all these awards. This dude Pumper's got a clean sweep on the JAKIB Awards. This dude Pumper has a clean sweep on the JAKIB Awards this year. Speaking of the devil, here he is. Pump! Xander, you got to ask J-Mac what the F is going on with Hulu Hurts. Why is he doing ladder drills when he sees defenders? Hurts lost like 5 steps. Ladder drills is hilarious, man. Ladder drills. Best rival fan. That's a good one. Best rival's a good one. Bob Lang, Man of the Year Award. That's funny. Ladder drills. Pumper, can you explain what Hulu Hurts means? Biggest supporter, BGG. Good one. I got a lot of good supporters, man. It'd be hard to come up with one big supporter. Only one there. Pumper has a clean sweep on biggest curmudgeon, best regular guest. That's a good one. All right, we're doing this at the end of the year. I'm going to make a whole show about it. The JAKIB Awards. The JAKIB Awards. I need like the best nickname. We got to come up with the best nickname. The best nickname. Woman of the Year in the chat. That's a good one. Woman of the Year. You got Kim. You got Bird Gang Girl. You got Fly Eagles Fly. You got Texas T. Oh, this is great. The JAKIB Award Show. This dude, Brian Pumper's running away with it. Biggest knee pads for the channel. No, it's not flexing and stepping. Izzy B with a diddler. Oh, Izzy B, I forgot about it. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Izzy B can be on there for the best women of the chat. That's pretty funny. Biggest Glazer. Yeah, that's an easy W. Easy W for Reyes. All right. Well, I'm going to put this in the chat GPT and say, give me some awards. Biggest gooner. Ooh, that's not a good one. We're going to leave that one off the list. You know me, I don't like gooners. All right, Eagle fans, let's do some Thanksgiving questions. I thought my Thanksgiving questions to John were good. Kirsten Carter. I haven't seen Kirsten in a little bit. I hope she's doing well. All right. Ready? The most basic Thanksgiving question I can ask you guys. Who are you most thankful for on the 2025 Eagles? Who are you most thankful for on the 2025 Eagles? Most sensitive would be Waddington. Waddington. Who are you most thankful for on the 2025 Eagles? John McMullen, good answer. Jordan Davis. Braden, man, if you're getting a punter, that means you're not having a great year. Vic, I think Vic would be a big one here. Vic, a lot of people with Vic. Quinion, I think, Keith, that's a good one. Devontae, all right, Thomas Gruber. I think Devontae is getting a lot of love, especially with the contrast that you're seeing with A.J. Brown. Tanner McKay from Brian Pumper. Anyone named Jalen? I'm not going Jalen Hurts. He's not my most thankful. Not even close. Sorry, guys. I know Jalenites just want me to glaze them all day. Not even close. Not even in my top 10. Not even in my top 10, folks. Jalen Hurts, not happening for me. Quinion or JD? Ed Reed Blankenship, not me. AJ for calling out the bullshit. AJ's my number one. You know why? Because it pisses off the Jalenites so bad. All they want you to do is bash on AJ because it gives them a cop out on Jalen Hurts. That's it. I'm telling you, man, I know these people. They want you to just bash AJ because they think that's the best way to make it look better for Hurts. Scooby, I got no idea what you're talking about. Met Gala Hurts. Ringo on the bench. Oh, goodness. DeJean, Howard, good one. DeJean's had a good year. AJ always open Brown. Jalen blows chunks. Oof, I'm not going that far. Release the tank. All right, a lot of differing opinions here. A lot of differing opinions on the most thankful for the Eagles roster. 3 drives, they perform well, then the coach's Viagra expired. Oh, man. Yeah, nobody said Kevin Petullo. Flex, I'll see you later, brother. Be safe out there. Happy Thanksgiving, Flex. Good year unless he's getting cooked by Pickens. Yeah, they all got cooked by Pickens. Even Quinion got cooked by Pickens a little bit. AJ, see, look, I told you. Jalenites love bashing AJ Brown. Jalenites love bashing AJ Brown. That's it. That's their makeup. Bash AJ. A bash AJ to protect Hurts. Best and worst of the JAKIB Awards. Yeah, you're going to get all sides. All right, next question. Next Thanksgiving question. Let me find one that's a good one. We got to go negative, don't we? Oh, Vitality. Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. He says, I'll say it, Zay. I'm thankful for you. Been on this channel 4 years. Appreciate the work you put in. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you, my friend. Vulnerable, I appreciate you too, brother. I'm appreciative of everybody in here. I'm thankful for everybody in here. This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen often. Scooby, I'm not trying to read between your lines, bro. Either just say what you got to say or don't say it at all. Say it with your chest. I guess I'll redo one I did with John. What's the Eagles' turkey of the season? The biggest disappointment. What's the biggest turkey? Who is the Eagles' turkey of the season? Yeah, we could do a Humpty's giveaway, maybe. That'd be good. KP, I guess that's going to be a common answer. Cam, that's a good one. He's been a total turkey. O-line has been a turkey. Saquon's been a turkey. Cam Jurgens is a good one. O-line, Patullo, Lane Johnson, he's cooked. Yeah, he's been all right when he's out there. Jalen squirts, not a lot. Uh-oh. Same answer, Barkley. Hurts, Kevin Patullo, and Nick. They all dry as hell. Christopher, you got them as the dry turkey this year? Saquon, Fitter, I think that's a common answer. Saquon hasn't been great. Jake Elliott, Pumper says. I don't think it's Saquon. Dank, I agree with you. I think that there's other issues there, but I don't know about the last person to blame. I don't think Saquon's been great, but I watched a clip yesterday. Somebody put a cut up yesterday of like a lot of the runs, and you could Landon is not having a good year, guys. Landon Dickerson got destroyed in the clip I saw. I should have reposted that on my X. Carter been a turkey, been a huge disappointment. I don't think he's been that big of a. I still don't know what Scooby's talking about. I still don't know what the fuck Scooby's talking about. I didn't fire anybody recently. I didn't hire anybody recently outside my editors, who definitely you don't know. My editors and my graphic designers who've done a great freaking job. The O-line was delivering the blows last year. They're taking them this year. Yeah. They're on the receiving end. No diddy. Knee is kind of important in sets for O-linemen. Yes, it is, Catch. Yes, it is, Catch. Go Bird says Jalen gets held on every down. Carter. Dude, Jalen Carter, he ruined it for himself getting the calls. He's not getting calls anymore. He's got a reputation now. Whether it's right or wrong is not the point. He's got the reputation. It is what it is. It is what it is.